Good morning, Vietnam. What's up, everybody? How you guys all doing? Well, the white shirt kind of makes it look kind of bright right now, so might have to change that, dim it down a little bit. Too much whiteness coming out. In any event, how you guys doing today? Long night last night. In case you guys didn't realize it, last night we were on air for over 13 hours. Not many people know this, so let me just tell you right now. YouTube has a limit that live streams get cut at the end of 12 hours on the replay. So those of you who are here live got to see the entire show. Those of you who are maybe looking at the replay, it cut off. So I posted the entirety of Trump's video for anybody who, didn't see it or hasn't seen the highlights or whatever. So here's what we're going to do today. We got a 1 o'clock show. With this 1 o'clock show, it's going to lead off with Karoline Leavitt's press conference. So we're going to lead off with that. And then when she's done, I'm going to go into my show because obviously what she has to say is on a time-sensitive basis. And so I'm watching. The podium is up right now. Everything seems to be fine. We're just waiting. Should be kind of spirited based upon what happened last night. So the theme of my show today, after she's done talking, is I'm going to prove to you that the Democrats are a dead party. What you watched last night wasn't a State of the Union. It wasn't a joint address to both houses of Congress. What you watched last night, what you saw live in person, was a funeral. That, my friends, what you saw was a funeral. Maybe a wake, but they're dead. They are completely done. Even Democrats are like, man, we're done with you. We are absolutely done with you. I'm going to get into it in depth, so don't go anywhere. I'm going to have that for you right after her press conference. I don't want to get too far into it because if I start going into it, then I would give it away, and I don't want to give it away. But just stay tuned after she's done. So let's talk about what she's going to go through today. She's probably going to talk about what happened last night, and probably the death of the Democrat Party. B, she's probably going to talk about what's going on with Zelensky. And exactly, how is that going to transpire? Is he going to do it? Is he not going to do it? Is he change his mind again? Whatever. We're going to see a signing sometime today or tomorrow. I'm sure she'll probably bring that up. And then, of course, the idiot questions that we normally get from these morons, except for Monica and Reagan. Monica, I just saw in the picture, it looks like she's there, as people are filling into their seats. Actually, I'll go with the split screen so you guys can see this. So you can see yourself as soon as she shows up. So we're all queued up. We're all ready. Got the feed, got the backup feed. And I guess while we're waiting, we can go ahead and take some comments. Would be a good thing to do if I turned on my comment software, which I'm doing right now. Kind of tells you, I was worn out. I was complete. Oh, my comment software is not working. That's interesting. That's very interesting. All right. Well, let me see if I just do this, will it turn on? Nope. There's a glitch. The comment software is not working right now, so I will not be able to highlight comments. I can still talk to you, and I can do it the old-fashioned way in terms of just put it right in here to YouTube. So let me just say that. Somebody says it's too loud. What's too loud? Oh, the intro is too loud? What do they say about music being too loud? There's an old adage about music being too loud. I won't say it because I don't want to offend anybody. One thing I do want to say is, and I'm going to start prefacing this with like every show, please be nice in the chat. I mean, it's if you don't like something, if you disagree, fine. You can completely disagree with people. You can even disagree with me. But don't traverse that chasm of disagreement to utter a-hole. Because if you do that, the guys are going to bounce you. The guys and the ladies who are moderating the chat will tell you, go, bye-bye. Because we just don't want to have people like that in our chat. There's a difference between disagreement and just being, a vitriolic piece of crap. And we don't want that. There are too many good people. We have spent so much time building this up and making sure it was a community of people that wanted to engage. And we're not interested in people who come in, whether you're a troll or you're a lurker and you decide you want to sink your fangs into somebody. That's not what we want. World of Peace says, I work in the steel industry, and because of the tariffs, we have been slammed with orders instead of competitor China. Trump saved our U.S. business. Very nice. Very nice. I'm happy for you for that. So what I'm going to do is, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it up on the screen so I can talk to it that way. Radiohead says, we're not interested in truths. How you doing? Supreme Court decision. Yes, that will probably come up today. So in case you don't know, Trump is eating some crow today. He's eating a lot of crow. And that crow is in the form of a justice that he appointed, Amy Coney Barrett. We knew John Roberts was teetering, and he's been a teeterer for quite some time. But Amy Coney Barrett, what a disappointment she's been. So in case you don't know, the court ruled 5-4. Amy Coney Barrett and Justice Roberts both sided with the Democrat liberals, who always are in lockstep. They never crossed over. We never have a problem with that. That President Trump has to release $2 billion to USAID. Now understand, because you're not going to hear this in the media. You're not going to hear it on the news. All they're going to say is the Supreme Court said that Trump has to release the funds. But there's a very, very important caveat in there. And that's what you have to focus on, which I'm going to tell you, but if nobody else has told you, let me be the first to tell you. The way that Amy Coney Barrett and Justice Roberts were able to hang their coat on the left-hand side of things is because the wording of the invoice per se. This $2 billion payment is for, quote, services already rendered. It's not because you're just shipping money out to any part and just do this. And we're not talking about the validity of any invoicing. The bottom line is President Trump withheld payment for work that's already been completed. And so even though Alito and Thomas and Kavanaugh and Gorsuch all said, you can't make the president do this, they overruled him. But don't let it drive you nuts. Don't let it make you go crazy or anything, because this is specifically about work that's already been completed. For instance, if USAID, acting as an agency or somewhat of the United States, say, hey, listen, we're going to deliver 9,000 pallets of moccasins to somewhere over there. And the 9,000 pallets of moccasins were delivered, and somebody shipped them based upon the full faith and credit of the USAID, U.S. government. And that person now says, you owe me for 9,000 moccasins. And so that was already completed. I don't know what the work was that got done, but supposedly this was for work that has already been completed. We can debate on what the work is. We can debate on whether it's verifiable, viable, whether the work was BS, whether it was for Nancy Pelosi's pool. Who knows? But the work, according to the invoice, and it's not the Supreme Court's job to look at and verify everything. That might be something that President Trump can do now. See. Let me get you set on part one first. Part one was he wanted to just stop the payment. Court says no, you have to pay it. It was for work already done. Now, I was sitting in President Trump's shoes. At this point, what I would say is I need to dispatch Marco Rubio, whoever, to go verify that the product, the goods, the service, whatever was contracted for that you are now billing me, I need to verify that it actually happened. And once, you verify everything and everything's on the up and up, then I got no problem releasing the $2 billion. I guarantee, well, I shouldn't say guarantee. I would almost bet that's the next step in this ploy. Because you're telling the President of the United States he's got to pay it, and you're making this decision in the Supreme Court because it's supposedly work already completed. So then, has anyone verified that this work, services, or goods, whatever, have been delivered or, the service is rendered? Now, I would send somebody over, or a crew, and I would want to count every single piece of product. I would then even, if it's product-based, I don't know what it is. If it's service-based, I want to make sure it was actually performed up to standards, whatever those standards are. I mean, those of you who have, as simply as had a roof put on your house, you pay a deposit, people do the job, and then you release the funds. This is what supposedly happened in this instance, that the job was completed and they didn't get their money after it's been completed. So every single one of you that's had someone paint your house or put a new roof on or anything, that second payment that you pay, you don't pay until the job has been to your satisfaction. So I would almost bet at this point a dispatch of a crew of people are going to have to go verify whatever it was actually happened. That would be my bet at this point. Let's see what else we got in here in terms of the program still are canceled moving forward. Yes, as of right now, they cannot do anything moving forward. You won't hear that on the news. They will tell you, oh, Trump was overruled by the Supreme Court, 5-4, he has to pay, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, are you going to read in the decision? If you read the decision, it tells you specifically it's for work completed. Susan Ferris, Barry, thank you for explaining. I feel much better. Yep. Louis Goad says $2 billion. That's some roof. I don't know what the services were, and for $2 billion, it better be a whole heap of services. That's for doggone sure. Who knows what the services were? But what is a moccasin? Oh man, that's funny. Are we thinking some entity is receiving a large shipment of something when they thought it would be cash? Yeah, now I would quickly segue into the next part of this question. What is it that was done? And if, some guy over there in a hut in Uganda can't show that, what'd you do? What am I giving you the money for? See, remember, you have to go all the way back to the whole USAID thing and how it transpired where, Wally the Nigerian sitting in the Treasury Department just pushed the button. If you got an invoice, don't check, don't say no, just pay. And that's how it was. So I can guarantee you can guarantee me, there was nobody on the other end doing any kind of verification. Nobody. If you knew you could submit an invoice to the Treasury Department of the United States and you were going to get paid and no questions asked, yeah, I needed $1 million for some wheat in Tanzania. You got it. Ooh, that worked easy. I need like 1.9 billion for tires. You got it. And nobody's checking. So since we know that, since Elon and Trump obviously know that at this point, that nobody, not a single invoice, not a single payment was ever questioned. Well then, now, since the court's making you pay for something that's already done, let's go check it out. Let's go see what's already been done. Makes absolute sense, doesn't it? Yeah. Let's see. Okay, pay the current bills and stop the rest, Carmela says. Yeah, exactly. They left that out. When people will be bandying about this decision today and they're doing their pontification, they're going to leave that part out, that it was for goods and services or whatever that's already been completed. All right, so it's 1:17. She's not usually late like this, so I wonder what's going on. Thanks, Barry. We can always count on you for information that's real. You're very, very welcome. That needs to change. There should be like 3 to 4 people who have to sign off and approve. I bet you that I would almost bet that it's already been changed, that there has to be an invoicing at this point, and someone has to actually look at it and then determine if it's a viable invoice. And so moving forward, I mean, this last $2 billion, whatever it's for, is probably the last $2 billion. And I would venture President Trump knew this was going to get challenged, and he knew that there was a part that it may, be overturned by the court, because now what's going to happen? This is the fun part. Now you can prove fraud. Now you can go find out who exactly did this, who submitted it, where did it go, what was shipped, how often. Let's see here. Got a bulletin from SV. All that kind of stuff we can actually begin to find out. Let me see what here. So it's 117. So I just wanted you guys to understand it. So let me go. Looks like everybody is still waiting. Not sure why she hasn't come out yet. So it looks like Trump just called out Trudeau for using the border issue to stay in power. Governor Trudeau won't be in power much longer. This was about 10 minutes ago. Justin Trudeau of Canada called me to ask what could be done about tariffs. See, that's another thing the news isn't telling. You heard yesterday from Howard Lutnick. Hey, they're on the phone trying to figure out what to do. They go out to the media and thump their chest and everything, but then behind the scenes, they're come on, man. Come on, Donnie. Anyway, Justin Trudeau of Canada called me to ask what could be done about the tariffs. I told him that many people have died from fentanyl that came through the borders of Canada and Mexico, and nothing has convinced me that it has stopped. He said it's gotten better, but I said that's not good enough. The call ended in a somewhat friendly manner. Interesting that he put somewhat in quotation marks. He was unable to tell me when the Canadian election is taking place, which made me curious, like what's going on here. I then realized he is trying to use this issue to stay in power. Good luck, Justin. You can read into that yourself. Let me just go back down so you can see it. Yeah, I realize he's trying to use this issue. So in case you don't know what he's talking about, Trudeau has resigned. He resigned a few months ago. And he said, I'll stay until such time as the elections are held to bring somebody else in. And President Trump's like, oh, by the way, when are the elections? Just like Zelensky, Trudeau goes, yeah, I have to let you know. He's unable to tell me when the election is taking place. Hey, man, you already resigned, and you're trying to use this entire issue to build up some cachet, to try and make yourself better, because you may want to try and stay in office. And Trump's not going for that. You told everybody you were getting out. So why are you not getting out? In addition, I also want to say something. Yesterday, when we got off, I missed a couple of Rumble super chats. It was by Bell Block and Pet Princess 169 and JT Eagle. Thank you guys very, very much. So that's what's going on with Justin Trudeau. This one is interesting. Justin, Trump administration has suspended using military aircraft for deportation flights because it's too expensive. So instead of the Department of Defense and military flying these people all around, I guess they're going to go to commercial flights, which makes sense. It's going to be a lot cheaper than using the military flights. So that's what's going on there. Let me see if what Trump posted, if he posted that on Truth Social. Yeah, he just posted again on Truth Social. All right, so let's take these. I just showed you the first one. He just followed up that one with this one. So he's got another Truth Social post that he put up, and here it is. For anyone who is interested, I also that's an interesting way to start something. For anyone who is interested, as if people wouldn't be interested. Anyway, for anyone who's interested, I also told the governor, Governor Justin Trudeau of Canada, that he largely caused the problems we have with them because of his weak border policies, which allow tremendous amounts of fentanyl and illegals to pour into the United States. These policies are responsible for the death of many people. So if you read into this stuff, you can tell at this point Trump is not budging, or at least the person on the other side of the table is not giving him what he wants in order to budge. Neither the president of Mexico nor Trudeau are doing what's necessary to, do the right thing. Let me just check something. Let me see what the stock market is doing right now, because we had found out that yesterday, after the 2 days, it had dropped 1,300 points. As of right now, the stock market has rebounded. I want to show you something. When people say, there's a term out there, and it's called buy the dip. And let me just see if I can show this to you real quick here. You see that? You see? Let me see where my mouse is in. Okay, there's my mouse. Right here, the market falls, and it gets way down here. That's when a lot of people are talking about buy the dip. And that's also a lot of times responsible. Oh, here she comes. I'll come back to that afterwards. Here we go.
It's quite the newsy day, and I was with the president talking about that news, so I look forward to taking your questions on it. But first, I want to talk about President Trump's historic and incredible speech last night. The American people and the entire world watched President Trump powerfully lay out how he's renewing the American dream in a record-breaking joint address to Congress. And Americans loved what they heard. According to a CBS YouGov survey, an overwhelming 76% of those watching approved of President Trump's speech last night. The president spoke about how he's taken more than 400 executive actions on his key promises. The expectations were high, and President Trump is exceeding them. According to brand new polling from the Daily Mail, President Trump has never been more popular as his approval ratings are reaching historic highs. More Americans believe America is headed in the right direction than the wrong direction. Everyday Americans love this president because he tells it like it is, no matter what, and he did that last night. President Trump level set with the American people on the economy and exposed how badly Joe Biden screwed it up by causing the worst inflation crisis in 4 decades. President Trump was honest about where we are while making clear that help is on the way. As the president declared last night, he will make America affordable again. Last night, you also saw who motivates the president to work so hard. Everyday Americans who President Trump shined a spotlight on last night in his speech. From Mark Fogel, who President Trump was finally able to reunite with his family and his beautiful 95-year-old mother after being detained in Russia, to Peyton McNabb, whose heart-wrenching story motivated President Trump to end men in women's sports, and to Allison and Lauren Phillips, the mother and daughter and sister of Laken Riley, who President Trump honored by signing the Laken Riley Act to ensure her name will live on forever. In other amazing and surprise moments, President Trump honored the life of Jocelyn Nungare, who was brutally murdered by illegal alien gang members. He ensured Jocelyn will never be forgotten by renaming a national wildlife refuge in her home state of Texas to honor her life. And in one of the greatest surprise moments of the night, DJ Daniel, an incredible 13-year-old boy who is beating brain cancer, saw his dreams fulfilled by President Trump when he was made an honorary Secret Service agent. And finally, after nearly 4 years, President Trump delivered justice for the families of the 13 American heroes who were killed at Abbey Gate in the Biden-botched Afghanistan withdrawal, which was one of the worst humiliations in the history of our country. President Trump announced that we have detained Mohammed Sharifullah, the monster who was responsible for that horrific attack, and he was delivered to Dulles Airfield earlier this morning. On his first day in office, President Trump's national security team across the federal government prioritized intelligence gathering to locate this evil individual. President Trump's team shared intelligence with regional partners such as Pakistan, who helped identify this monster in the borderland area late last month. Mohammed confessed to his crimes related to Abbeygate and other attacks in Russia and Iran as well to the Pakistanis. And U.S. law enforcement officers traveled to Pakistan over the weekend, where he again confessed his crimes to the FBI. As President Trump said last night, this killer will now face the swift sword of American justice for these atrocities right here on United States soil. Joe Biden was responsible for this botched withdrawal, and he had 3 years to find this evil terrorist, and he didn't even try to get the job done. But President Trump campaigned on behalf of and grew very close to the Gold Star families. He promised them accountability, and last night he kept his promise. He spoke to those Gold Star families yesterday ahead of his speech in an incredibly heartwarming call to share this incredible news. And as President Trump asked in his speech last night, how could anyone possibly be opposed to any of this action that he is taking? Well, apparently, the modern-day Democrat Party could. The behavior of Democrats last night was completely disgraceful and demonstrated how severely out of touch they are with the American public. It was the most shameful moment in the history of presidential addresses in that beautiful chamber. And what was supposed to be a unifying moment for our country, Democrat members of Congress instead screamed at the President of the United States, who was just overwhelmingly reelected by their constituents, walked out of the chamber, and worst of all, they disrespected the American people. Democrats didn't stand to keep men out of women's sports. They couldn't even clap for a girl who got her head smashed in by a man on a volleyball court. Democrats didn't stand for an innocent and beautiful child who is surviving brain cancer. They opposed eliminating taxes on tips and Social Security. They didn't stand in favor of cutting taxes for hardworking Americans. They couldn't even clap for 2 mothers whose daughters were killed by illegal aliens. One of the only things that could get Democrats off their feet last night was cheering for Ukraine, not for America. Last night was a very clarifying moment for our country. The Democrats exposed themselves as the party of insanity and hate, the party that wants to put America last. They've allowed their Trump derangement syndrome to stop them from celebrating America and our people, and we will not allow them to forget that. And it's not just the Democrat Party. The mainstream media still doesn't get it. Last night, MSNBC's Nicole Wallace disgustingly looped in a 13-year-old boy with brain cancer into an attack on the president over January 6th. And CNN's first chyron out of the speech called it divisive. President Trump wasn't divisive. The Democrats were. And CNN was proven wrong by their own viewers, 69% of whom, in a post-speech poll, said they had a positive reaction to the president's speech. It's sad and frankly pathetic that Democrats and liberals in the legacy media continue to allow their hatred for the president to override their love for our country. But nevertheless, the president will continue to unify this nation through policies that are grounded in common sense and that uplift all Americans. We have an individual in our new media seat today, Mary Margaret Olahan, who is the Daily Wire's first ever White House correspondent. Congratulations, Mary Margaret. The Daily Wire was founded 10 years ago by Ben Shapiro. The Daily Wire now has over 1 million paid subscribers, a monthly network reach of 138 million, and has evolved into a leading conservative multimedia giant. They are now the 5th largest podcast network in the world and home to some of the top-ranked shows. With that, I will take your questions, and Mary Margaret, why don't you kick us off?
Thank you so much, Karoline. It's great to be here.
Thanks.
So I had 2 questions, if that's okay. The first
Sure.
on last night and the second on Maine. You talked about behavior from Democrat lawmakers, a lot of disruptions, and I just wanted to kind of go back to that. We saw Democrat lawmakers not stand for Laken Riley, for Peyton McNabb, for the son of a slain police officer and 13-year-old cancer survivor. What are the optics of that nationally, just in terms of not just the people who were in the room last night, but across the nation? And also, was President Trump expecting this type of behavior when he was crafting his speech?
So I gave a quote to one of the media outlets in this room yesterday that Democrats behaving like children would be the least surprising thing of the night. And unfortunately, that quote did turn out to be true. I think the president and everyone, frankly, was surprised by the Democrats refusing to stand for not the president's policies, because frankly, we expected that, but for the everyday Americans who President Trump was shining a light on their stories. Mark Fogel, for instance, an American school teacher who was detained by the Russians. President Trump freed him. If Joe Biden had done that, they all would have been on their feet. But because of what came from President Trump, they weren't. So we think it's very sad. But we're very proud of the president today. And the American people are the people that this president cares about most. And the reviews are in, and everybody loved his speech.
Thank you. And then on Maine, we know that the governor of Maine has really pushed back against the president's executive order saying that boys should not be in girls' sports. I spoke with a lawmaker from Maine this morning who told me she'd been censured by state lawmakers for calling a man and speaking up on this. What is the next move for the White House in this battle to protect the integrity of women's sports?
Yeah, well, the Department of Education has sued the state of Maine. As you know, there's ongoing litigation. The president has made a commitment to ensure that states are being held accountable if they continue to allow men in women's sports, which he believes is an egregious violation of taxpayer dollars. And so that fight continues, and the president won't back down. Again, this is a common sense policy. 80% of the American people, including more than 60% of Democrats, do not want men in women's sports. So the president will stand by this commitment. Thank you. Gabe, good to see you in here.
Good to see you, Caroline. A couple questions. One, can you confirm that the president held talks with the big three automakers today, speaking about potentially delaying tariffs?
I can confirm, and I'm glad that you asked, because the president sent me out here with a statement directly from him on this. I saw it was reported earlier today by Bloomberg News, and he wanted me to share this with all of you. We spoke with the big three auto dealers. We are going to give a 1-month exemption on any autos coming through USMCA. Reciprocal tariffs will still go into effect on April 2nd, but at the request of the companies associated with USMCA, the president is giving them an exemption for 1 month so they are not at an economic disadvantage. So the three companies that he spoke to are Stellantis, Ford, and General Motors. They requested the call, they made the ask, and the president is happy to do it. It's a 1-month exemption.
And the president just posted on social media that he had spoken with Prime Minister Trudeau. He says he's not satisfied with what the Prime Minister has said when it comes to fentanyl, but less than 1%, as you know, less than 1% of the fentanyl seized last year was in the northern border. What else does Canada need to do?
Well, the president did just put out a statement on his call with the governor, Justin Trudeau, as he calls him, of Canada. And he said that he was not pleased, as you said. He said it's not good enough. He told Prime Minister Justin Trudeau that directly. The call ended in a somewhat friendly manner, as the president said, but he's not going to stop standing up for the American people. And to answer your question directly, when it comes to fentanyl, for the last 4 years, unfortunately, our neighbors to the north and the south, Canada and Mexico, respectively, have allowed America to be a dumping ground, not just for illegal aliens, but for illegal, poisonous, deadly fentanyl, which is now the #1 killer of young people in this country aged 18 to 34. Through the northern border in Canada, in last fiscal year alone, there was enough fentanyl seized to kill 4.8 billion people. And that number is up 2,050% from 2023, the year before. So there's been more than a 2,000% increase in illegal fentanyl seizure at the northern border. Why? Because Canada is allowing that fentanyl to come to the United States. The president sees these numbers. He thinks about the lives that are lost. And everybody in this room, I'm sure, everybody watching at home, everybody across the country knows someone in our lives who has been killed at the hands of this deadly poison. There needs to be repercussions for that. The president feels very strongly about it.
Caroline, respectfully, it's just 43 pounds that were found last year. That's less than a carry-on suitcase. Is that a lot of fentanyl compared to, say, Mexico, where the vast majority of the fentanyl is brought in through Mexico, not Canada? So what else does Canada need to do?
Well, I just told you, last year alone, there was a 2,000% increase in illegal fentanyl.
But it's only
You're asking me me for what the president's justification is for these tariffs. It's not up to you. You're not the president, Gabe. And frankly, I think it's a little bit disrespectful to the families in this country who have lost loved ones at the hands of this deadly poison. If you talk to them, and this president has, they are grateful that they finally have a president who is standing up to both Canada and Mexico, and most importantly, to China as well. The president added an additional 10% tariff on China because this deadly poison is being produced in that country. It's being distributed through our neighbors, and there needs to be consequences for that, period. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. If the U.S. has a longstanding policy that we do not negotiate with terrorists, then why is the U.S. now negotiating directly and for the first time ever with Hamas?
Well, when it comes to the negotiations that you're referring to, first of all, the special envoy who's engaged in those negotiations does have the authority to talk to anyone. Israel was consulted on this matter. And look, dialogue and talking to people around the world to do what's in the best interest of the American people is something that the president has proven is what he believes is good faith effort to do what's right for the American people.
Is it just about the hostages, or are they also talking about the president's plan to take over Gaza?
These are ongoing talks and discussions. I am not going to detail them here. There are American lives at stake. I would defer you to the Department of State for further details, but I'm not going to get into those talks here at this podium.
We know that some officials here were miffed that Zelensky showed up last week without a suit for his meeting in the Oval Office. But Elon Musk never wears a suit.
He did last night.
So what is the dress code?
Well, Elon Musk wore a suit last night. I'm sure you saw it.
Was he spooked by the Zelensky getting kicked out?
No, I don't think so. I'm just pointing out that he did wear a suit last night. And I think the president liked that very much. And he looked great. Speaking of the president, he just passed me a note while I'm standing here. He wanted me to hold this up. This is the poll that I cited, the CBS YouGov poll that shows that 76% of those who watched the president's speech last night approved of his speech. And so it goes to my earlier point that I made in my monologue about how incredibly sad it is that we have a modern-day Democrat Party who is so severely out of touch with the American public. This is a great poll. The ultimate poll, though, came on November 5th when the president won by an overwhelming margin that he spoke about last night. Democrats weren't happy to hear that either. Ouija.
Thank you, Caroline. Back on tariffs, last night President Trump said there will be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that. Can you put a dollar figure amount on how much the average American family should expect to pay as this disturbance? And why should Americans be okay with that when so many are already struggling to pay the bills?
Well, first of all, last night, the president told the truth. And he was realistic, and he level set with the American people. And I think, frankly, it's very refreshing, and everybody in this room should be very grateful that we have a president who tells the truth about the reality of the economic situation that we are in, unlike the previous president who lied to everybody's faces, saying inflation was transitory, saying it was under control, saying that the border was secure, when none of that was true. So the president is being frank and honest, and the American people elected this president to have monumental reform and change, including rebuilding our manufacturing base in this country, standing up to foreign nations who have been ripping off our country for decades. And that requires a little bit of disruption. That requires a lot of effort and work that this president is focused on doing. With that said, as the president said last night, his administration is wholeheartedly committed, of course, to ending the inflation nightmare caused by the Biden administration. Look at the deregulation efforts. Look at the president's push last night in his speech for Congress to pass tax cuts, to end taxes on Social Security and overtime pay for hardworking Americans, end taxes on tips. We need Congress to get that done because that's going to put more money back into the pockets of the American people. And I didn't even mention energy. Look at the president's approach and focus on unleashing the might of our energy industry. We know that's the #1 driver of inflation. He's been slashing back a lot of the burdensome regulation from the previous administration to unleash our energy industry here at home, which will drive down costs. He said he is committed to making America affordable again. He did it in his first term, and Americans can trust him to do it again.
President Trump has made clear, Caroline, that he loves tariffs, but the stock market does not. How does he factor that into his decision making?
Well, the president does love tariffs. He said it's one of his favorite words of the English dictionary, and he believes in tariffs because they'll ultimately make America rich again. They're going to raise revenue. They're going to help us pay down our debt. Most importantly, they're going to bring American jobs here back home. So I think for folks on Wall Street who may be concerned, look at what this president did for you in his first term. Wall Street boomed. Stock market boomed. The president expects that to happen again. But most importantly, Main Street is going to boom. And that's why the president has this whole of government economic approach, which includes tax cuts, tariffs, regulation cuts, and an energy industry that will bring down costs for American consumers. Sure, Monica.
Thank you, Caroline. You mentioned not one Democrat senator voted to protect women's sports from males. Not one
Monica
Democrat
Page?
congressman or congresswoman stood to applaud or support protecting women's spaces and sports at the president's joint session to Congress last night, as you articulately mentioned at the beginning. So I'm wondering, what message is that sending to not only young women who are competing in these sports across the country, but also to the parents of these young girls?
Yeah. I think the message that Americans should take away from last night is that they have a president in the Oval Office who is committed to doing what's right for them, especially women and girls across the country. And I think it's very ironic, thank you for bringing up the point about women, that Democrat women were wearing pink to support our fellow females, yet they couldn't stand, again, for a young woman who was almost killed and severely injured by a man on the volleyball court. They couldn't stand for the mothers of two beautiful young women whose lives were taken tragically at the hands of illegal people. So you can't say you're the party of women and then support men and women's sports and not stand up for basic law and order and immigration reform that will protect women in this country. That's what President Trump is doing. He's the president for women. Lindsay, good to see you.
Thank you, Caroline. Good to see you. So, speaking of tariffs, China said yesterday that they're ready for any kind of war with the U.S. Because of these tariffs that have been placed on them. And a Chinese spokesperson also said that the tariffs would not lead to a resolution of U.S. concerns about fentanyl originating in China. Can you speak to how the administration is planning on responding to that?
Well, I think Secretary Hegseth has responded to that this morning. He said that America will always be prepared to defend itself, especially under the leadership of this president in the Oval Office. And that certainly remains true. Again, when it comes to tariffs, the president has been very tough on China, not just now with 20% and more with the reciprocal tariffs that will hit on April 2nd. But look at what he did in his first term. There were billions of dollars worth of tariffs that he implemented on China. And it's quite telling that the previous administration did not rescind those tariffs because they realized the value that they had in not only deterring China, but also raising revenue here in the United States. Rachel.
Thanks, Caroline. Just a quick follow-up, two quick follow-ups on tariffs. The president mentioned a little disturbance during his remarks yesterday. The CEO of Target says that consumers will likely see prices go up on everything from strawberries to bananas to avocados. How long should Americans expect to pay higher prices? Are we talking a week, a couple of days, a few months?
Again, I don't have a crystal ball, but what I can assure the American people is that this president and this administration is doing everything they can. And I would remind you and everybody else in this room that it's because of the previous administration's economic policies that Americans were left with record high inflation. Inflation throughout Joe Biden's entire 48 months in office was at or above 3%. It hit record highs, as you know. And there's a whole list of what the Biden economic disaster this president was left to clean up. It's been a month, but he's working hard every single day to do just that.
One quick follow-up on the carve-out. Sorry to cut you off there. The U.S. imported $43 million worth of eggs from Canada. I know you mentioned some of the exemptions when it comes to automakers. Will there be any other carve-outs, including for eggs? We know prices are soaring for Americans.
The president is open to hearing about additional exemptions. He always has open dialogue, and he'll always do, what's right, what he believes is right for the American people. But again, as for the egg crisis in this country, the president is wholeheartedly committed to ensuring we're increasing our egg supply, and we're also bringing down cost. And Secretary Rollins has been all over this issue. She comes from an agricultural background and family. That's why she's leading that very important department. She wrote an amazing op-ed in the Wall Street Journal. She's been all over the media talking about her plan. She has a real plan. The president endorses it. And he even, gave her an off-the-prompter shout-out last night to say, Brooke, I'm counting on you. It's an important issue. And this White House is working with Secretary of Agriculture every single day to address this issue. Sure. contradictory.
Thanks, Caroline. So what does it say that the Democrats, while they couldn't stand for Americans or stand for victims, they stood for war and clapped for war and clapped for 5 more years of war?
Yeah, the president addressed that last night, I think, when he called out Senator Elizabeth Warren and said that, again, as I said in my opening speech, very telling that the Democrats refused to clap for American people and American interests and American priorities, but they did clap for the country of Ukraine, which, by the way, the president's working very hard to end that war. So Democrats should be applauding him for actually doing something about it.
Follow up on that, if I can. You've spoken recently about how what happened in the Oval Office last week gave Americans an inside look into behind-the-scenes discussions with Zelensky. Is this how he treated Joe Biden and just treated him disrespectfully and received billions of dollars?
Well, it's a very interesting question. I don't know if anybody in here asked my predecessor who stood at this podium about that, but there was a report from NBC News that President Biden also got increasingly frustrated with President Zelensky when he was handing out blank checks and President Zelensky kept asking for more. Joe Biden was quite frustrated with that. So again, as I've said repeatedly, Friday revealed the frustrations that this administration has had in closed-door negotiations with the Ukrainians. However, President Zelensky did put out a statement yesterday, which we believe is a positive step forward. And National Security Advisor Mike Waltz has been talking to his Ukrainian counterparts. And so we're in the midst of this, and we'll see what happens next. Caitlin.
Thanks, Caroline. I have 2 questions. One on the reprieve that is being granted to these 3 automakers for 1 month on the tariffs on Canada and Mexico. How did the president settle on 1 month?
Mm-hmm. The reciprocal tariffs will go into effect on April 2nd, and he feels strongly about that no matter what, no exemption, so that's where the 1 month comes from.
Does he expect them to be able to shift production within a month?
He told them that they should get on it, start investing, start moving, shift production here to the United States of America, where they will pay no tariff. That's the ultimate goal.
And on the conversations between the White House and the Ukrainians and the letter that President Trump revealed last night that he got from President Zelensky, Director Ratcliffe said today that the president has paused also intelligence sharing with Ukraine. Is that temporary or is that permanent?
I believe what the National Security Council told me in regards to that was that they paused or they are reconsidering the funding for Ukraine, as you saw, the pause on the funding. As for intelligence matters, I would refer you to either the National Security Council or the CIA as well.
But they're considering lifting or reinstating the military aid going to Ukraine, which they paused.
Again, it's a pause for a review.
Follow up on that.
Sure.
The president read parts of the letter that he received last night from President Zelensky. Can you give us a sense of when President Trump now plans to sign that minerals deal after receiving that letter?
Those talks are happening as we speak. I just saw the National Security Advisor. He's working very hard on it. I believe he was going into the Oval Office to give the president an update on where this stands. But again, the president is committed to a peace deal. He wants to see this war end. And I think that President Zelensky's message, which he also shared on X as well, is a positive sign in the right direction.
The president also said that the United States was reclaiming the Panama Canal. The president of Panama this morning, or at some point today, said that President Trump was lying. Wanted to get your response to that, and also curious if the president had a reason for not specifically mentioning BlackRock last night when he was praising the company that is buying canals or ports around the Panama.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Panama has seen what's going on with their own canal, but as you just mentioned, BlackRock is now interested in investing and taking over the 2 ends of the port, which is very important because the president was very vocal several weeks ago about the need to ensure that China is not controlling the Panama Canal. This is a very important place for the United States of America. We also saw that the Panama Canal lifted fees on our U.S. naval ships that are going in and out of the canal. That's a win for the United States of America. And the president will continue to ensure that the Chinese government, the CCP, cannot be infiltrated in the Western Hemisphere and certainly not in the Panama Canal, which is a very important place for our country. Dasha.
The president continues to call the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, Governor of Canada. I'm curious what he means by that and if there are any plans that are moving forward with trying to make Canada the 51st state. And I have a follow-up on the economy as well.
Sure. Well, the president put that in his True Social account, or his True Social post earlier today. He feels strongly that it would be very beneficial for the Canadian people to be the 51st state of the United States. They wouldn't be paying for these tariffs. They'd have much lower taxes if they were part of our great country.
Caroline, on the economy, you and I traveled the country during the campaign. This is an issue that so many voters decided to cast their ballots on, and they voted for President Trump. He has started to have that realistic conversation with the American people, that disturbance comment last night. But I'm curious if you can be real with Americans right now as all of these factors are playing out. Are things potentially going to get worse before they get better?
Look, I've now been asked and answered this same question just given to me in different verbiage of 3 different times, and I will answer it again in an effort of transparency to the American people, because this is an important issue, and the American people, this president understands that it is. And again, that's why in his joint address to Congress last night, he addressed this issue with a realistic and honest approach. He talked about what this administration is doing to unleash American energy and to make America affordable again, and this administration is wholeheartedly committed to doing it. And I would remind the American public that the first-term record of this president speaks volumes. That's why they reelected him, because they know that he can fix our broken economy, and it's very, very broken from the previous administration. Stephen.
Thank you, Caroline. I've got 2 questions, one on press access, the other on fentanyl and tariffs.
Sure.
On press access, your predecessor, Karine Jean-Pierre, who presided over many novel press access restrictions, criticized the recent changes to the press pool made by your office. She said in an interview, quote, "What we're looking at is what North Korea is doing." What's your response to that? And can you say anything to allay concerns that unfavorable coverage will be punished in this new press system?
I think that's the same individual who said from this podium numerous times that the commander-in-chief was mentally and physically up for the job, which we knew was a lie. Many people in this room knew it was a lie. Many of you were admonished for asking questions about that truth. So when it comes to truth and transparency, this administration, this White House is setting the example. This president is taking far more questions than his predecessor, Joe Biden, did on a daily basis, and that will continue.
And on fentanyl and tariffs, fentanyl produced largely in China has killed 334,000 Americans over 5 years. According to CDC data, that's about 1 in every 1,000 Americans. President Trump has cited this for applying new tariffs to Canada, Mexico, and China. But in addition to China's talk about being ready for any kind of war, they said yesterday, the foreign ministry said that, quote, "The fentanyl issue is a flimsy excuse to raise U.S. tariffs," and, quote, "The U.S., not anyone else, is responsible for the fentanyl crisis." So what's the response to China that the talk of fentanyl is just an excuse for tariffs? And what does that say about the resolution?
Well, of course, the country that is getting very rich off of distributing this deadly poison to American citizens is going to say that. Again, the president knows where the American people stand on this issue. Fentanyl overdoses. Dasha brought up all of us campaigning all across the country. They talked about inflation. They also talked about the border, the illegal immigrants that we're pouring through, but also these deadly drugs. And again, the president keeps in mind those families every single day when he is making these tough decisions. But it's a necessary decision, and he's no longer going to allow the United States of America to be a dumping ground for illegal immigrants and for illegal drugs that are killing our nation's people. This is the #1 leading cause of death in our country, and there needs to be action taken to ensure that that cannot continue. Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you later.
Thanks, Caroline.
Oh, so that's it? Well, let's see. That wasn't much of a presser. I guess you can call it a presser. Maybe she got pissed off. That was kind of short. Short and sweet. Nonetheless, not much came of that. I'm not sure if she even needed to do it. People, stop. Leave me alone about the eggs. That's what she should have said. Leave me alone about the eggs. I was doing some research while I was off camera, and one of the things I found is that it takes 18 to 22 weeks for a baby chick to grow to the point where it can lay eggs. By my math, that's anywhere between 4.5 to almost 6 months before a chicken can be productive and be laying eggs. They culled all the chickens in November and December right after the election. So that means 17 to 20 million chickens had to grow to become productive egg layers, which means if the chickens were born in, January, the new ones, it's going to take them until May or so, or June, to be productive. So I would think that someone in the Department of Agriculture would go ahead and, review that information, and as people are asking, hey, when's it gonna get back to normal? Probably this summer. That would be the answer at this point. Probably July and August we'll start seeing the eggs. And then don't ask anymore. Because at this point, I mean, they're not that expensive here in South Florida. I don't know where the stores here are getting them, but everything is expensive. So I don't understand why they keep bringing that up. The media is done. I mean, until they understand that their policies and the way they do things is no longer representative of what Americans think, there's not much help for them. They don't ask the questions that people want to hear. Let me show you something. She brought it up, and as she brought it up, nobody in the audience said anything about it. So this is what President Trump posted. It's not his poll. He's just posting what came out last night. Last night, CBS, not Fox, CBS came out with this, and it says 76% of people who saw the speech, not talking about people who heard from friends or heard on CNN, but 76% of the people who saw the speech approved. And as I've told you mathematically, in order to get that kind of number, 76%, you have to have a good big portion of Democrats. If the country's 50-50 and only 51% say Republicans, then that's as far as you could go, which means a lot of Democrats had to agree. Well, hey man, I liked what he had to say. What do these people not understand? They all know, they can see that the doggone poll, every single one of those people knew this information before she held it up. And they acted like it never even happened. They're not representing the people. They're trying to find that angle, that story. Well, President Trump said, it's going to get tougher before it gets better. Why? Go look at your economics class. You're supposed to be college graduates. Go take a look at that, and then you'll be able to find out why. What was the other thing? Somebody said, oh, well, the stock market's going to take a hit. Well, that's because you're not involved in the economy. The stock market is not the economy. It's completely separate. It is a bunch of people, wealthy and other people, who are basically betting on things going up and down and accordingly. And so it's got a lot of emotion. There's a lot of strategies. There's a lot of option taking. And there's a whole lot of manipulation. If you've never been involved in the stock market, you know that there's people who come in with big money and they can manipulate stocks. It's done all the time. So that's not a barometer to be used. And it's merely a scoreboard, a foreteller. So notice she didn't say anything about whoever answered that question didn't ask about what's going on today. Oh, the stock market's been down. Okay, the stock market's been down. But as I was telling you, let me see where we are right now. It has gone up even further. Since I was talking to you this morning, the stock market at this point is even higher. What did I do here? Why is it not showing? Hold on. Let me see if I can pull this over. Am I having another issue with my computer? No. Okay, so it's showing here. Let me just do this. Yeah, I just have to move it over so it can fit in the window. Boom, boom, boom. All right, so this is where we are as of right now. And this is the interdaily, so you can see like where things are going. And this is based on a 1-day view. And here is a 5-day view. And so you can see it went down. And here's a 1-month view, and it looks really bad. Because here, this was February 19th, and it dropped to, this is February 4th, and you can see a precipitous drop right there. Remember what I told you about buying the dip. See, there are a lot of people out there that are looking at profit taking right now, and you buy the dip. That's why, look, it goes down and it goes up. Then it goes down and then it goes up. Then it goes down and it goes back up. That's merely people doing what's called profit taking. Hey, XYZ company, they're down 6% today. Let me jump into it because I know their financials look strong and it's going to pop back up. Boom, I just made some money. Boom, sell it. Let me go on to the next one. I don't want to get too far in the weeds, but that's the kind of stuff that goes on all the time, over and over and over. And there's not really a whole lot of stuff that's different about it. It's been that way for a long time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break here for a second because I'm going to start my part of this show. And I want you guys to, let me take a second here. All right, so I want to show you something. Again, I've been showing you. Some of you guys think I'm absolutely nuts, but I'm really excited about working with these guys from Patriot Addict. I love it. This is a knife. No, it's not a switchblade. I used the wrong terminology yesterday or the day before. Somebody goes, Barry, that's not a switchblade. No, that's a knife. That's what that is. That's a nice knife. It's strong. I mean, I'm trying to bend it. It's not bending. It's got some good weight to it, so it's balanced, and it's pretty good for hunting, fishing. You know, if Robin saw it, I told you she's going to go fishing with it. She can gut a fish pretty good with it. It's tight. Look at that, tight. It's got weight to it. And, of course, it says Trump on it. Trump. There it is, Trump. So, it is a Trump knife. This is the Trump red knives. A bunch of you guys have been getting them. I haven't seen anybody say there was a troll who said, oh, it's not worth like $10. I'm like, yeah, it is. He's lying. Everybody else has said it's very good, and it's free. Free. All you have to do is pay for shipping. $13.99 or so is what the shipping is. It comes in this nice package here. Let me just show you this. Let me put it back in here. Okay. It comes in this nice box. Trump Patriot Act on it. And it also has a blade to cut a seat belt and a notch to break a window. So for $13.99, you can get that for shipping only. It's free. Just click on the QR code right here, and it comes pretty quick. You won't have to wait too long. So enjoy it. Let me know how it goes. Let me know if you like it. Tell others that you like it. If you bought it, spread the word. All right, so now I'm going to get into my portion of the show. Click this back again. Okay. Bear, you're the best. You did an amazing job yesterday. Thank you very much. If you can't go long term, the stock market is not for you. Yeah, too many people think it's like a casino. It's not a casino. Good. P.D. Shaw, I got my Trump knives yesterday, amazing quality. Yeah, there's always going to be these people come in, and does the window breaker pop out, or do you have to hit the glass? I think you have to hit the glass. Let me just make sure somebody asks a question here. Yeah, you have to hit the glass. Boom. So get away from it so it doesn't shatter on you. But thank you for asking. I bought 3 hats yesterday. Oh, very nice. In Nevada, eggs are only $6 a dozen. I say only, that's not bad. Hello, what was the black cross on Monica's forehead? All right, everybody. Before I get going, let me just tell you that. I used to be Catholic back when I was a little boy. No, well, I was never a little boy, but when I was a boy, I was also an altar boy. In Catholicism, which is different from, Baptist following, there is I won't call it a holiday, but a commemoration called Ash Wednesday. And on Ash Wednesday, Catholics go to church and you get the sign of the cross placed on your forehead, and it stays there for the entire day. I can't believe in 2025 people don't know about Ash Wednesday. So you get the sign of the cross. Then in a week or two will be Palm Sunday, representative of when Jesus rode the donkey into town and people laid the palms down. So there's Palm Sunday. And then, of course, I don't have to explain to you what comes next. Next comes Easter. Hopefully there's none of you here that I have to explain what Easter is. If I have to explain to you what Easter is, we got a whole lot of problems. We got a whole different show we'd have to do. We'd have to get JJ the pastor or John Amanchaku in here, because if you don't know what Easter is, that's a big one. That's a big one. Very, very big one. So please don't tell me you don't know what Easter is. All right. Let's get going. All right, so I put together, I won't say a long show, but it's representative of what these idiots did last night. She mentioned a bit of it, but I'm going to go into it a little bit deeper. So to make it easier to clip for a future video, it starts now. All right, so last night we heard President Trump give his speech to Congress. I'm calling it the funeral speech. It was a eulogy for the Democrat Party. And I didn't realize it at the beginning that it was a eulogy. It wasn't until it began. I didn't know that this was going to end up this way. I didn't know that they were basically going to fall on these swords and all die like it was the Red Wedding or something. It was amazing to see it happen in real life and how it unfolded. And the whole time I was watching this, I was thinking to myself, is there not one good man, one good woman who wants to turn around and look to their compadres and go, what in the hell are you people doing? Wake up. Wake up. You're zombies. You are absolutely driving this plane into the dirt. There is going to be no hope for you. We need to stop this. And for a second, I had the feeling that they realized it. Because after Al Green got tossed out, thank God he got tossed. In case you didn't see it, he started making noise and they threw him out of the hall. And I was expecting after that it would be one a minute. And it was almost as if they realized, oh, Trump means business. And Mike Johnson means business. I better sit here and shut up. Because I think you guys probably thought as you're watching, okay, here we go. One at a time, they're going to get up and they're going to scream. But after he got tossed out, they didn't. They stopped. So I thought to myself, maybe, did they learn something? Did they really learn something? Not only did they not learn anything, the media didn't learn anything. The media jumped on that same sword themselves. So let's start from the beginning.
And once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do. I could find a cure to the most devastating disease, a disease that would wipe out entire nations, or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history, or the stoppage of crime to the lowest levels ever recorded. And these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand.
Look at their faces. That's not a still picture. This is part of the video. As he was talking, this is what people caught. And I thought to myself, hold on, let me see if I can pause it real quick. All right, so look at those people. The most miserable people in America are sitting right there watching the president with stupid props, stupid signs. And then Jamie Raskin looking like, Lumpy Rutherford over there, just trying, the guy who used to hang out with Leave It to Beaver. These aren't serious people. These are people who have been placed there by whoever. They are all puppets because nobody acts this way. And they've got a whole gaggle of them. Just all of them. I loved when President Trump said this because he started, with probably the first 10 minutes of his speech. Let me just get this out in the open. These people, let's not even talk to them. All the people over in this section, screw them. And if you voted for them, screw you. Well, really not you. I'm telling you, these people here are not representing you. And he went on to read off a bunch of things and talk about things, and they're all mad, and they don't want to hear it. But unfortunately for them, as you saw the chart, many Democrats obviously went, really? Are we really paying $20 gazillion to some country? And I got to go to work every day? Yeah. See, he undressed them in public. Sort of like what do you call it? The mortician. Because these are all dead people. Not physically dead, but they're dead politically. And he was embalming them as he spoke. It was definitely an embalming.
And certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it, no matter what. Five times I've been up here.
Dear President Trump.
Dear President Trump.
Dear President Trump. Dear President Trump.
Mr. President.
I'd like to thank President Trump, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today.
To President Trump.
Arguably one of the best moments of any speech I've ever seen. And I actually heard some Democrats afterwards calling these people props. The Democrats, as you saw, didn't even, never mind stand. They didn't even acknowledge anything about any of these people. That last young black man that you saw is 13 years old. You're going to hear more about him as I go forward. A brain cancer survivor. And that moment, what happened during the speech, those of you who saw it, when President Trump acknowledged him, and a kid loves police, loves law enforcement, and he deputized him as a Secret Service member, and you couldn't doubt the authenticity of what you were seeing. And then you watch the head of the Secret Service, and the guy just hugged him. And somebody I had read said, you could tell this guy was a father because he felt it. Democrats didn't care. Screw you.
I just want to thank you for taking the steps to protect vulnerable children like my daughter. And on behalf of all parents, I want to thank you for giving us hope.
President Trump, thank you for what you've done for America. Thank you for putting America first and doing the things that you promised to continue to ensure the manufacturing vibrancy of the steel industry.
Thank you, President Trump, for giving me this opportunity to be a light for foster care community and the adoption community.
We thank you for saving our jobs. I have my job back because of you.
Genuinely, it means the absolute world to me and every other female athlete and just female in general, because you have just absolutely been a champion and stood up for us and fought for us and have listened to us.
Thank you for honoring Jonathan, for continuing his story, for representing law enforcement.
I just want to thank you for everything that you've done since my husband passed at the rally. You've been so wonderful to my family, and I'm so grateful. I want to thank you for making sure this country does not forget my dad and the sacrifice he made. Thank you for all of the support. I just want to thank you for involving our family. It's meant more than you could probably ever imagine.
I want to thank you very much for the things that you have done and that are doing for the American people to bring things back to America, America first.
Thank you to the First Lady and Mr. President for giving me an opportunity to share my story and ensure that no one has to go through this nightmare. Thank you for being a champion of America's youth.
We want to thank you for everything you've done for us, to giving us the means to do our jobs correctly. And because of you, we're keeping the border much safer than it was before. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm really looking forward to tonight at the address, and thank you so much.
From the bottom of my absolute heart and my family's heart, we truly appreciate everything that you've done for us, and it means absolutely the world to bring justice to my daughter, Jocelyn, and to every other family to not have to go through what we're going through. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything.
Trent's right now on the heels of his very...
So as you heard that litany of people thanking President Trump for remembering their loved ones, helping them through whatever they were going through. The one lady who had to play against the Transformer, who got her face busted up. All these people are thanking Trump. And it made me wonder, as I was watching it live and as I was putting together this video, is when did compassion become a political football? You see, if they hadn't said, "Thank you, President Trump," and you clipped each one of those, and it would just said, "Thank you for," and it didn't say Trump, Would it matter to you that they were Democrat or Republican? If you knew that a 13-year-old boy had brain cancer and he had this desire to do something, and President Trump invited him, cut that part out. I used to work at Disney a long time ago, long time ago. And of course, many of you know about, I think it's Make-A-Wish or something like that. And kids who were terminal and stuff would get to come to Disney. They'd meet Mickey and Minnie and Goofy and everybody else, and the kids it might have been their last chance to smile. When did that become a political item? When did it, shouldn't you care about other Americans to the point where I understand we're battling? We don't want this, we don't like what you're doing here, but we care about these people. And one thing, as you notice, as these people were talking, it was quite diverse. These people who are all about diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI. Well, in there you saw men, women. I know Democrats don't know the difference, but there were men and women. You saw black, you saw white, you saw Hispanic, you saw 13-year-old, you saw women, however old those women are. I'm not going to insult them, but you saw a diverse group of people. That's specifically what you cheer for. A diverse group of people getting help. And you wanted nothing to do with that. So what does that say to everybody? Which is also why your numbers are the way they are. It tells people you don't care. There is no joy. None. They are the most miserable, cantankerous, undesirable people I've ever seen. And they seem to revel in it. They seem to this is fantastic being this way. Nobody wants to be around you. Never mind vote for you. I wouldn't want you in my house. I wouldn't want to have dinner with you. I want nothing to do with you people. And many of you in the media are in the same boat. I don't know how you have spouses unless they are also just nuts as well. How do you look at a 13-year-old boy who survived cancer and go, whatever? Seriously? I would feel that way about a Democrat girl. Flip it around. Joe Biden's on stage. And he's like, I'd like to introduce you to, Bobby Jones. And Bobby Jones, he got hit by a car and he's had brain cancer. And, one of his dreams is to whatever. I mean, that would be touching. I'm like, wow, man, you're all right. You're all right. And I would say the exact same thing about Republicans. Are you guys not cheering for this kid? This kid who had a terminal disease? You're turning your back and ignoring him? You're a scumbag. You have to be politically agnostic at that point and recognize the human. But if you don't recognize humans from the time they're in the womb, and you think that's meaningless, then maybe that explains your entire party. It's sad.
Very exciting night. That 13-year-old cancer survivor, DJ Daniel, and his dad, Theodis. Good morning to both of you.
Sir, good morning.
So DJ, you're up in the gallery. The president is talking about you, and then you heard what he said, and your eyes got wider. What were you thinking?
I was not expecting that. Nobody even told us, even though that they knew. They didn't even want to tell us.
Well, so what did they tell you about going to this event last night, this joint session, to get you there?
Well, really and truly, I wasn't expecting it to be like that, to be honest.
Yeah, well, it was something. And there you are with all the most powerful people in the world. You've got, I know Elon Musk was there and everything else. Dad, let's talk to you a little bit about this. I know ever since your son was diagnosed with brain cancer, as he's gone through his treatment and his surgeries, he has made it a quest to try to be sworn in as an honorary...
That picture right there. How does that not just grab your heart? How does that not just make you... Fox could have ended this segment and just shown that picture.
Member of law enforcement to as many agencies as possible. How is that going?
Well, I'm his dad, but I realized I became his chauffeur. So
driving him around.
I found him driving him all across the nation and relentlessly and tireless to get him there. Because the Texas Children is considering his swearings as treatment, so we utilize that. And his brothers are actually his medical support too.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And so he's been sworn in by 909 different agencies. But DJ, last night, you officially became a member of the Secret Service. That's the coolest one, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You know, I know you did talk to the First Lady. You have not spoken to the president directly. He, I think, is watching right now. What would you like to say to Donald Trump?
I'd like to say thank you to him, and I hope he got his cowboy hat, because I bought him a brown one from Texas, but I'm not sure if they got it out the thing where they check it, because the dog had to sniff it and stuff like that.
I got a feeling after you just said that, they're going to make sure that he gets it. And
I bought him a cowboy hat, but I don't know if he got it because the dog had to sniff it and everything. Oh my gosh. Interviewing children, even at 13, is very tough because you don't know how they're going to react to a question or what they're going to say, and you just got to flow with it and just accept the answer. And if it's a bad answer, move on. But that was just such out of the mouth of babes. That was just a perfect response.
listen, the whole world watched you last night, and we're praying for you during your treatment, and we were all crying. Were you crying, DJ or Dad?
Not at all.
Not at all. Holy cow. It was really something.
If they can't stand and applaud you and stand up for the right of innocent people like your daughter, what does that party stand for? I found it repulsive.
They don't stand for anything humane. They don't stand for us as citizens. They don't stand for our security. They don't stand for honorable things that we need in this country. And it's very disgraceful to us as U.S. citizens that those are the people that we have here in Congress and House and Senate. It's disgusting.
I wonder where...
Again, as you look at her, you understand she's Spanish or Hispanic, Latina, whatever you want to say it is. And that's who their core audience is. They want to be the DEI people, except if you end up getting, something happens to you from some of the people that they've been bringing into the country. They hate Americans so much that they will protect, and I'm being very careful here because of, the censors, they will protect these newcomers over the tragedies that they cause. They will never denounce them. Even the ones who do stuff as sick as what happened to her daughter. Two guys decide they're going to take a 12-year-old, I believe she was 12, and have their way with her, and not a single Democrat has said, sorry. I don't even know her, and if I saw her, I'd say, I'm sorry for your loss. I think any one of you would say, I'm sorry for your loss. And they don't say anything. They are completely devoid of feelings. And so what you have to begin thinking, if you're a Democrat right now, I'm talking to you, Dems. I know what my people here think. I'm talking to Dems that may see this. I so many times have gotten troll comments or emails saying, I don't know why you like Trump. He don't care about you. Okay. You think these people care about you? Because if something happened to your daughter, your mom, or whatever, your business, they don't care. You see, you can pretend that Donald Trump doesn't care, but Donald Trump didn't tell you you had to, take this thing or you're going to lose your business. You can't go to church. You can't do anything. You can't live your life because you need to do this or you're fired. And they're perfectly fine with baby removal. They're going to park a big blue bus outside the DNC. There's no compassion. I would love for these people to show actual compassion. But it just seems to be on them, because the reason why they can't show compassion is because they can't admit mistakes. That young girl, I mean, that mom is only feeling, the feeling she has right now is because the Democrats pushed and allowed all these people into the country. So when you say you're sorry for her loss, it would probably mean something. It probably means, yeah, I really am sorry. But you can't do it.
They think they are with the American public on this issue. You'll see them in the audience, as you saw firsthand. These Democrats, congresswomen who showed up in pink specifically to protest President Trump's policies on women. As this is happening, we've got new polling from the New York Times on biological males in women's sports. And Peyton, when asked about thinking about transgender female.
So this is the girl who was playing, I think it was volleyball, and got smashed in the face because the guy spiked it so hard. And at the same time, they're about to talk about the things here. Transformer athletes should not be allowed to compete in women's sports. 79% of people agree. 94% Republicans, 64% independents, and even 67% of Democrats. So if it's so overwhelmingly the choice of Americans, Republicans, independents, and Democrats, if it's overwhelmingly almost to the point of not unanimous, it's not unanimous, but it's up there, 79, 80% at this point. If it's that high, how can you say it's okay? Why is it something you continually want to push? They can't explain it, or they won't explain it, but your constituents don't want it. And you're willing to sue and just do whatever you need to do to destroy women's sports, to hurt little girls, and you don't care. Because there's some craven ideology that tells you we need to do this because we have this many people in the country, but there's this bigger plan around it. You know what it might be in terms of population, sort of like what they did with the chickens. You want to cull. You don't want people, having babies, building families. So the best way to do that, since you can't cull, C-U-L-L, since you can't cull Americans, the best way is to try and cause as many of them to be transformers or otherwise. But people still respect that line that we shouldn't be crossing as a society. The Democrats don't. They don't care.
Athletes, meaning athletes who were born male and then choose to be female and participate in women's sports, only 18% think that should be allowed. Nearly 80% of respondents say that that should not be allowed. So why do they think, Democrats think, that they're speaking for the people on this issue by protesting fairness in women's sports?
Once again, the Democrats have proven how out of touch they really are. I mean, like you said, 80% of the country agrees with this across all party lines. So for them to be willing to die on this hill just to push this agenda is absurd. And last night, I thought that the pink suits and everyone matching was real cute when, of course, the day before, 0 Democrats voted for the protection of women and girls. And then 0 Democrats stood and applauded when I was getting recognized for my injury because, like Riley said, I mean, they couldn't be more anti-woman, and frankly, they are anti-American. They really embarrassed themselves all night, and it was honestly sad to see, but I wish I could say I'm surprised, but I'm not. Well, I think...
How do you look at somebody like that in the face? And we all, at some point, may have been one way politically and then changed or grew into conservatives, being a conservative, or maybe we were strong Christians or whatever. But you're going through your life. And this was a young girl, I believe it was in high school when it happened to her. I talk to you guys a lot about enlarging the tent. Where it seems to me what the Democrats are all about is shrinking the tent. You don't like this? Go away. Oh, you don't want to see newcomers? Go away. There's no convincing. There's no say, listen, how can I persuade you that we have good ideology? If you say you don't like Transformers, we don't want to have nothing to do with you. If you say newcomers or you don't like DEI, I don't even want to spend my breath talking to you. All right, so then you got what you got. At this point, you are a dead party. If you're a Democrat watching this, you may not realize it, but you're a zombie. You're walking dead. Nobody wants what you're selling. Except maybe you get, I got a piece for you that's really going to bring it home and explain it to you exactly what these people are going through. It's complete groupthink. It's complete hive mind. And they're not understanding that everybody outside of that bubble is looking at them like they got 4 legs. They don't understand it. Americans, as you see the polls, you see the numbers, Americans are looking at the Democrats like, what in the hell are you people doing? Do you not get it? You have somehow decided that a dictator who wants to continue and proliferate war is a hero, but the guy who's trying to make peace is the one that's a dictator, an authoritarian. Everything right is wrong. Everything wrong is right as far as they're concerned. And you're turning off Americans. If I had it in me, I would probably run for office. But then again, I don't want to be associated with these people. But somebody, I just want to let you know, somebody is going to step up in the Democrat Party. I don't know who it is. We haven't seen them. They haven't shown their face yet. Be ready. Because this person is going to step up and lead them out of hell. Because that's where they are right now. They are in literal hell. And I just think at some point, in order to make that entire party viable, somebody is going to have to go, I'm not part of you people. Here's what I believe in. I'm not MAGA. I have different ideas, but I can't be associated with you people. And that person is going to get a lot of support. Watch for that to happen. Because right now we're looking at literal zombies. These people are walking dead, politically speaking.
It's evidenced by their actions tonight. They refuse to stand for anything. And if you're not going to stand for a child who's fighting brain cancer, you're not going to stand for our firefighters and police, you're not going to stand for the announcement that we've captured the mastermind terrorist behind the Abbey Gate attack that killed 13 of our Marines, if you're not going to stand for American workers, then you're just not going to stand for anything. And so what we saw tonight was truly Dems in disarray. They have been so subscribed to the identity politics of the last 2 decades that they lost their identity altogether. It's truly a crisis. They have a lot of soul searching to do. Meanwhile, we are going to keep making America great again.
You see, one of the things I'm going to do moving forward, unless it's really something funny, is to stop talking about them. Unless it's a bill or something criminal or just something completely newsworthy, I think it's time to stop talking about the Democrats. They are no longer, for the most part, viable. They are very seldom at this point newsworthy. And I personally don't want to continue making fun of the dead, because that's what they are. There's nothing to them that's viable. They make no sense. You know, she said they're about identity politics. No, they're not even about that anymore. I don't know if they know what they're about. What's the first thing they're going to say? Well, Trump's a racist and his followers are racist and Hitler and Nazi and it's not working. It's not working. You didn't even agree for no tax on tips. How are you going to tell people, yeah, we need to keep taxing your money? That's what we're for. There's nothing about them, nothing redeeming at all. And you're going to see it grow this way. You see, they're praying that the eggs don't happen. They're praying that the Supreme Court does things to Trump. By the way, I'm seeing some stuff in the comments here. I went over the Supreme Court judgment a long time ago. So if you want to look into what I think, and I explained that Supreme Court judgment at the beginning of the show, so you can go back. But that doesn't really concern me, actually, because I told you why. But in any event, the Democrats at this point, they're just not newsworthy. The only time they're newsworthy is when we want to laugh at them. I stopped talking about Jasmine Crockett because she's just nuts. Every time you see a clip of her, there's nothing redeeming from it. You just sit back and go, this chick is nuts. And so why do we keep the whole thing about garbage in type thing? There's nothing after what I show you in the rest of this, you're going to believe the same thing. You're going to be, I don't know why we're even talking about them. They are no competition. The only competition for Trump right now, and I think you have to admit this, the only competition that Donald Trump and the Republicans and MAGA have are courts. That's it. There is no other competition for Donald Trump other than the court system. These people over here ain't going to do anything. Nothing. Nothing viable whatsoever. Yeah, that woman is scary. Texas, man, you need to do something. You need to call your girl home or something because she's awful. I mean, I couldn't imagine being more hood ratty than she is. Yeah, screw the mainstream media. Their numbers are going down. Everything they seem to be doing is ditching. They're on a plane that is absolutely ditching into the ocean. And the worst part about it is they're not even trying to pull up. I'm going to show you a few Democrats who kind of went side-eyed last night and went, what the hell is wrong with you people? But it's too late because the people driving this airplane, they've decided they're headstrong going to go right into the ocean. They don't care. They don't care. Why did they run? Only for the Democrat Party. Yeah. They don't care about people. I challenge you to show me anything they've done for Americans. Americans not on welfare. Americans not on destitute. What have you done for middle America? What have you done? I'm going to say this because this isn't cancerous. This isn't bad. What have you done for rich people? Well, Barry, we're not supposed to do anything for rich people. They're Americans. Why are they ostracized? Oh, we're government. There's nothing we're going to do for you. No, that's not true. I want to do stuff for poor people. I want to do stuff for middle class. And I want to do stuff for rich people. They're still Americans. Why did we decide we were going to ostracize an entire subgroup of people in America? Just because they made it? That's it? No. I mean, they're entitled to the same things we all are entitled to. It doesn't make any sense to me why we exclude anybody. If you're poor and destitute, let's take care of you. Let's figure out a way to get you out of that situation, or if you're resigned and that's all you can do, then we'll take care of you. If you're in the middle, let's figure out how to make it better for you. Okay, so we've taken care of these two groups. Are you telling me this group over here that's making millions, there's nothing your government can do for you? Do you really think that? I'm going to tell you, yes, you can. And one of those things you do for the wealthy people is what they can't do for themselves. What they can't do for themselves is make sure there's not newcomers invading their neighborhoods. Making sure drugs aren't in their neighborhoods. Making sure their children can go wherever they want to go and they're safe. You see, they don't need the programs, but they definitely need government. How many people you've ever heard say that? It's like, because most of the time the rich people, hey, we don't even talk about them. We're only going to talk about these poor people right here. You know why they only talk about these poor people? Because they're dependent. They need the government. They can't survive without the government. And I'm telling you right now, the other subsections can't either. I'm sure Jessica's mom isn't poor, but she could have used some protection from the government. I'm pretty sure that volleyball player isn't poor. Her family's not poor, but she could have used some protection from the government so her face didn't get smashed in. I'm sure there's some rich people, like one of the ladies there, whose son or daughter was turned into some sort of kind of Frankensteinian transformer without her knowledge. She could have used some protection from the government. So don't forget the entire spectrum of people and what they may need from the government. And then think about your own personal situation. You may not need food stamps. You may not need Medicaid or Medicare. You may not even need Social Security. But I guarantee you, you need safety. I guarantee you, you don't want to have people busting into your house, doing bad things to your daughter or your wife. You depend upon dialing 911 and making sure you're taken care of just as well as the poor people. You want to make sure the water that you drink is good. So do the rich people. You want to make sure that the air you breathe is of a good quality, that there's not trains derailing like in East Palestine. So do the rich people. I was at the beach on Sunday with Robin, and we were in, there's a beautiful restaurant in the bottom floor of one of the hotels. And as you're sitting there having lunch in the hotel, it's like watching a movie right in front of you. And that movie that's transpiring and going like this while you're sitting, you might see a Cybertruck, you might see a Bentley, you might see a convertible Bentley, you might see a guy on a moped, you might see some people in dreadlocks walking by. And the one thing all these people have in common is that as Americans, they want to be able to feel safe doing that. How many times have you seen neighborhoods just go to hell and people just couldn't enjoy themselves? There was nobody walking. It was like Black Lives Matter and you shouldn't be eating here. No, it was just this cacophony of people. Black, white, Spanish, rich, poor, all just together. And as we sat back and I'm sitting lunch, I'm like, Rob, this is just really funny. She's like, what? I'm like, look, it's like a Crayola crayon box. And then there's the luxury crayons, and then there's the regular crayons. Oh, look, there's a guy on a bike over there who's taking a shower. And everybody was just enjoying themselves because they felt safe. Nobody was going to walk up to you like they do in some of these areas, neighborhoods, and countries, New York, and punch you in the face. There are women, like my wife, with lots of jewelry on. The women felt safe. They knew no one was going to walk up to him, punch him in the face, throw him on the ground, try to rape him right there, or take the jewelry. So when people tell you, we got to help out these people, that shouldn't be at the expense of the other people. Never let people make you think that. Everybody who's in America, who's an American, depends on our government taking care of them in certain ways, in certain fashion. It just may not be the way you need to be taken care of. Just wanted to say that. How embarrassing were they last night by not clapping for anyone at all? Goes to show you they're evil. Absolutely. Unfortunately, I was just say, LA is like that now. Not safe. Yeah. Imagine owning an $8 million property, nice big giant house, and it's basically a prison. Like, I worked, I made movies, I played sports, and I made all this money, and I bought this $15 million house here on Mulholland Drive, and I'm in prison. Because I don't know who's walking up the driveway and is going to hop the fence and come bust in. That's because your government let you down. Or who's going to throw a Molotov and cause another wildfire? Because your government let you down. You're rich. You've made it in life, but you're not protected. I was an altar boy also, Barry. Yeah. I was a bad altar boy. I would be late, show up while the procession's already happening. Those Dems, do you ever do lunch at Latitudes? Nope, I haven't been there. I'll have to look into it, though, since you mentioned it. Like Carrie said, it was a funeral for them. Yeah, it was. I really do feel that way. It was a funeral. Just don't make it a funeral for America. That's the whole part of it. They're done. They'll be back in some way, shape, or fashion. Again, someone's going to rise up, but I don't know who that person's going to be because they don't seem to be in existence right now, or the powers that be aren't letting them be in existence. Because the other thing I got to believe is there has to be somebody there who in their mind says this isn't right, but they can't even begin to articulate how they really feel. So I'm going to show you some stuff in regards to what some of the people in the news are saying. We're going to come right back right now. So you see in the stock market doing what it's doing. The other part of the stock market is Trump's talking about these minerals. And he's going to be talking to Zelensky, and he's possibly going to be talking to Trump. And they're talking about the rare earth minerals and bringing that stuff out of the ground because of AI. And there's an absolute race for that right now. Well, there's also a race for the other minerals that people have counted on for centuries, and we still don't know what's going to happen about that and Fort Knox, which is another thing that's going to be happening real soon. So if you're in a position to buy gold or silver, depending on what you can afford, I'd like to introduce you to my friends at Lear Capital. As you know, President Trump has assembled the Avengers to make America great again. And of course, we're all excited and ready to see them get to work. But with everything we're seeing right now, don't take your eye off the ball. Things could get much worse before they get better. With the possibility of World War III still looming, and with the Democrats doing everything they can to impede Trump, you still need to keep your guard up and your money protected. Oh, and our national debt is still massively increasing. Don't get me wrong, I have high hopes for Trump's America, but I also have a family to look out for. You see, Trump and the Avengers have quite the uphill battle ahead. That's why I'm making sure I'm protected, and I'm recommending that you do the same. One way to be protected is by diversifying your portfolio. That's why on this channel I've been happy to partner with Lear Capital. As you know, I've been involved in real estate for quite some time. And although I dabbled in gold and silver, Kevin and his staff at Lear have helped to educate me even further, especially in regards to silver. Give Lear a call today and they'll show you how easy it is to move some of your savings or your retirement account into gold and silver. Gold and silver have been proven to hold value and protect wealth for the long term. Call Lear today at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com to get your free gold and silver wealth protection guides. There's no obligation, just free information. Many of you have seen my interviews with Lear founder Kevin Demerit, and I can tell you this company is solid and likes to educate their customers. Just so you know, Lear has over 27 years of experience, thousands of 5-star reviews, and over $3 billion in trusted transactions, and is the only company with a 24-hour risk-free purchase. You don't pay unless you're 100% satisfied. So call 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. And when you call, don't forget to ask how you can get up to $15,000 in bonus gold or silver with a qualifying purchase. So if you'd like to take advantage of this opportunity, please call my friends at Lear Capital at 800-601-5430 and tell them Barry sent you. All right, so a quick programming note for tonight, the 8 o'clock show, or maybe 7:30, depending on how soon I get out of here. Right now, the hearing on sanctuary cities is going on, and the sanctuary cities hearing is blowing up. I mean, it's insane listening to what the Democrats say, and listening to what these mayors have openly said in public. Not to belabor it here, but it's insane. I mean, let me just show you how insane it got today. And this I'll be covering tonight. Holy blip. Anna Paulina Luna announced she will be referring all 4 of the mayors present today at the congressional hearing over to Pam Bondi for criminal prosecution. Hold them accountable. Luna says you're in direct violation of 8 U.S. Code 13. Oh, you can't see that. Why can you not see that? Hold on. What is going on here? Why can you not see that? Okay, so I'll use this window. You are in. Okay, let me go back. Anna Paulina announced that she will be referring all 4 mayors present today at the congressional hearing over to Pam Bondi for criminal prosecution. Hold them accountable. Luna, you are in a direct violation of 8 U.S. Code 1324. I'm going to be criminally referring you to the Department of Justice for investigation as soon as I leave here. These will be going over to Pam Bondi. That's how bad it's gotten into this hearing. So I'm going to get off here when I'm done, and I'll cut it up so you can see the clips. But whew, crazy town. If you think it was crazy last night, well, the crazy train ended up coming to this hearing on both sides. The people asking the questions and the people responding. Because of course the nuts. What's her name? Presley. She had a performance, and now Crockett's having a performance. But we'll get to that. All right, let's continue with last night's funeral pyre.
And I was making it clear to the president that he has no mandate to cut Medicaid. I have people who are very fearful. These are poor people, and they have only Medicaid in their lives when it comes to their health care.
How many times do these people have to be told? They ignore it. They lie. The press doesn't call them on it. Nobody has made any sort of inference that they're cutting those entitlement programs. Nobody has said that. But they keep saying it over and over, and the media never calls them on it. It's shameful on both parties.
And I want him to know that his budget calls for deep cuts in Medicaid. He needs to save Medicaid, protect it. We need to raise the cap on Social Security. There's a possibility that it's going to be hurt, and we've got to protect Medicare.
Possibility. So what he's talking about isn't benefits. Understand, as these people are blah, 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 talking their crap, they're not talking about benefits. They don't want employees cut from Medicaid. They don't want employees cut from Social Security. It has nothing to do with the benefits. But they just don't care because they figure you don't know. Let's say it again for everybody in the back. They are not cutting the entitlement programs. But the media won't stop them from saying this stupidity.
These are the safety net programs that people in my congressional district depend on. And this president seems to care less about them and more about the number of people that he can remove from the various programs that have been so helpful to so many people. It is the best way to get it across to a person who uses his instability, against our civility. He is a person.
You use our instability off of our proclivity of the responsibility. Did they go to like Reverend school or something? Because I don't understand what the hell he's talking about. What? The proclivity for the responsibility for my activities.
Who has consistently been used incivility against civility.
So funny, look at his mom and me. That what you said, bro.
Look, I'm willing to suffer whatever punishment is available here to me. I didn't say to anyone, don't punish me. I've said I'll accept the punishment, but it's worth it to let people know that there are some of us who are going to stand up against this president's desire to cut Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security.
You're saying you have no mandate? Is that what you just?
That's what he has no mandate to cut Medicaid. None.
That is the only punishment that you were kicked out, sir? Is there something?
I don't know. Whatever the punishment is, I'm not fighting the punishment. This is about the people who are being punished by virtue of losing their health care. This is the richest country in the world, and we have people who don't have good health care. We've got to do better. And now we're about to cut Medicaid, which is for poor people. Health care has become wealth care for many people. and we can't afford to let that happen.
Is that the only thing that you're protesting?
No, I have other things I'm protesting. And I'm also working on my articles of impeachment.
I'm protesting everything. I just hate this man. I hate MAGA. I hate white people. I got a whole bunch of stuff I got to protest. I love that question. Is that all? Is there anything else you're protesting? Yeah, I'm protesting it all. I don't even like the lunch they feed me here. I don't get the fried chicken I get when I'm home. I cannot even believe it. I protest you asking me these questions with these bright ass lights on me. I protest it all. I can't believe I got to walk on this hard marble floor. It should be nice carpet. I'm protesting it all. I got all kinds of stuff I got to protest.
That is unfit. He should not hold the office. 34 felony convictions, 2 times impeached.
Sir, tell me one more time what you were shouting in the chamber.
That he has no mandate to cut Medicaid.
That's what you were saying over here.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
No mandate. Thank you. Thank you all of it. Thank you.
It's embarrassing. I feel embarrassed for him. That's how bad they have nothing. Nothing to lean on. And all they do is talk crap. Now listen to PayPal here.
Out of Trump's address, joint address to Congress. I went there because I was insistent that I wanted to hear directly from him what he had to say. But after hearing him spew lie after lie after lie.
Notice when they say that, and they say that often, quote the lie. Since there were so many, it should be easy. Just give me one. And as a reporter, that should be your job. Your job as a reporter should be, thank you, Miss PayPal. I know her name's Paymalala, whatever, but I call her PayPal. Miss PayPal, can you give me one lie that he told and back that up with some substantiation? But it seems like it's beyond these people to ask questions. Hey, there's a microphone. Let me just stick in her face and I'll report everything she says. Oh, yeah, I couldn't stand there because it was lie after lie after lie. Thank you very much. How did you get into the reporter business? How did you go through school? And I don't know, did you read books on William F. Buckley or any of the former big time reporters? Did they just tell you to stick a microphone and just report whatever they said? Or are you afraid of getting kicked out and never getting access again? That would be okay, because if someone's just going to spew at you, maybe it's not someone you want to hear from to begin with. Hey, so yeah, what lies? Well, I can't tell. You said you got a whole bunch of lies. What lies? But nobody asks.
Racism and xenophobia at the center of everything. I walked out. And I'm going to insist that we...
How did she get racism and xenophobia out of his speech last night? What, Miss PayPal? What? I watched the whole speech. Could you tell me what you found to be racist and xenophobic in that speech? Very simple question. I forget who said it. Just listen to what they say and use their words back to them. And you can create an entire article and or video, if whatever you're working on, if you just do that. Oftentimes, just listen to what somebody says and then use their words back at them. You just said that he was racist and xenophobic. Can you tell me what was racist and xenophobic? I didn't hear it. But unless you understand, and I'm talking to you guys too, when you're listening to somebody and they're saying something, those are the questions to ask. What was racist and xenophobic? You just made the statement. And they'll run. They'll run real quick.
Stand up for our constituents, for the American people across this country, and fight back so that we can make sure we're delivering for working people everywhere.
He has failed and that he has no intention of delivering anything other than retribution. He is a petty tyrant who is surrounded by complicit flunkies, and it is the job of Americans to stand up and say we want what we voted for, and that is progress for America, not petty revenge for Donald Trump.
Okay, I'll do it again. Miss Abrams, yeah. Did you know that there's an investigation about you taking, $20 gazillion? Can we talk about that? Where'd the money go? Where'd you use it on? No, this guy sits there like, he's had some bad muffins this morning and just... And also, who's the complicit flunkies that you're referring to? I don't know who that might be, but you just said that.
But in the subject of pettiness, even what Democrats were doing during the speech with the signs of what Al Green did, you don't find that petty?
I do not, because...
He tried. Throw her off your set at that point. You don't find holding up a little sign going, duck, duck, go, or so. You don't find that being petty? I do not. I do not find that petty. Oh, okay.
In an opposition position, your job is to show people what is true. And we have a president who's doing his best.
Wait a minute. Since when did you turn into the, quote, opposition and that was your job? Did y'all just hear that? They're no longer Democrats in the government. That's where the mistake is at this point. You need to hear this again.
Petty revenge for Donald Trump.
But in the subject of pettiness, even what Democrats were doing during the speech with the signs of what Al Green did, you don't find that petty?
I do not, because in an opposition position, your job is to show people what is true. And we have...
I didn't know there was Democrats, Republican, and opposition. I didn't know Americans voted for opposition. So there is no longer two parties. There is the winning party, in this instance, Republican/MAGA, and the opposition. She just explained it to you. Your job is to complain and bitch and moan and fight. That's it. We're not here to participate in the United States government. I heard that this morning. I about screamed, whoa. Did you hear what she said? Robin thought I was crazy. What? Listen to this. We no longer have an operational government. We have one side of these two political party things who thinks they're no longer part of government. We're not here to participate in government. Our job at this point is to oppose and fight. We don't want anything you're selling. We're not even, we don't even want to talk to you. We are the opposition party. That's who we are. Change the name on all the signs. We're no longer Democrats. Change the names on all the crayons and stuff you put on and put, our party is the opposition party. We are not here to help America. Now you get it? Now you understand how these people are dead and why the Democrat Party is dead? Because they killed it. Not me. They are now openly admitting we're done with America. Our job at this point is to oppose everything we don't like. Well, the government's supposed to work hand in hand. Even if the party's not in control, you still have to show up and vote. Nope. We're done. Our job is to fight.
President who's doing his best to clamp down on the media, to shut down on protest. He does not want us to use our First Amendment rights. Let's not forget who is in power. They control both branches of government, and they have appointed the majority of the Supreme Court. If Republicans can't deliver when they hold all of the power, then what they're telling us is that they're powerless, and it is up to Americans to take our power back, to take our country back, and to create the future that we deserve.
Stacey.
Oh, I know the future you deserve, girl. Your future is to be in a 5x8 box with bars on it and hopefully little Bertha next to you. You stole money from Americans. You have facilitated European, other countries, and African countries stealing from Americans. And you're telling us right now that she's no longer in office, but there is no Democrat Party. You are the opposition party. That's it. I actually feel good. I feel good that I've gone and laid a flower on their grave. The Democrat Party is no more. You're going to see some more of that real quick.
Abrams, thanks so much for being with us. Sarah.
You'll see a lot of the Democratic women appear to be wearing pink. And color coordination, we've seen that before when they did white in honor of suffrage one year. But what does this mean?
Unity, I guess, amongst the Democratic Party.
Were you not provided a messaging?
I didn't wear my pink.
I'll check the color chart.
Protest and power. It signals protest and power, and there will be some blue and yellow scarves. We know what that symbolizes, obviously, support for Ukraine. I
want to be respectful of the members. Were elected by their constituents, and so I understand why they felt like they needed to be in the room. I think their constituents want more than coordinated colors right now.
Which one of the...
That was on CNN. I mean, some of these clips I played, maybe you've seen them, maybe you don't, maybe you haven't broken them down. But you had people on CNN going, I think their constituents want more than funny signs and pink shirts. And they definitely don't want blue and yellow stuff showing support for Ukraine. So, certain part of the media who probably are... There's probably people there who like want to play the long game. And they realize if I play the long game, I want to be here for a while. This isn't something I need to hook my wagon to. Because these people ain't going to be here. They're not going to get reelected. They are going to continue to lose. Now this part here is going to break your heart.
Craziest part, because my mom bathes me and my brothers all together, and out of nowhere I locked up, and then my dad was calling my name, and I started going to the slow thing, and he said stop playing with me, and I then I started to act, I ain't gonna lie, I started to act slow, and then as soon as he said that, we was speeding all the way, running lights, going to the hospital, and then next thing you know, I was seizing on the table. They said, no, we gonna have to go in his brain tonight. Ever since then, I had 13 brain surgeries, and that's how many times my personality has changed. And that's something that you don't hear from a terminally ill child. They have 5 months to live. I'm gonna keep on going until my gas tanks run out. And that's when God calls you home. You never know when God's gonna call you home. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my dad. And I know he's pretty proud of me, and I'm pretty proud of him too. And I'd like to thank President Trump, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today.
But I think this was...
Yeah, that's a 13-year-old boy. That's a 13-year-old boy who realized that death could be imminent. That's a 13-year-old boy who praises God for every breath he takes on earth. That's a 13-year-old boy who said, my personality has changed after every one of these surgeries. I can't even begin to empathize, but I can't understand what he must go through. And when he said that, I'm like, yeah, maybe that's why he sounds older. In certain ways, he's probably more advanced. I can't imagine facing death at 12 and 13 years old. And he's a God-fearing kid. His father raised him correctly. He's everything the Democrats hate. They don't want God-fearing young men. They would rather turn him into some sort of Frankensteinian experiment. It's sickness. It's the evil. It's satanic. How could you not embrace this young man? Hey man, I didn't know what I was going through, and then I was being slow, and they rushed me to the hospital, and I seized up while I was there, and now I've had 13 more surgeries, and I don't even know which personality, and it keeps happening, and God never tells you what day. What? You're 13. Did you really just say that? God never tells you what day it's gonna be. I'm like, this is heavy stuff. Salute, young man. Oh my gosh. But then this happened.
The lesson in finding one thing that you let yourself feel. And I let myself feel joy about DJ. And I hope he's alive for another, 95 years, right? And I hope he lives and the life he wants to live. He wants to be a cop. He knows what he wants to do. And maybe when you have childhood cancer, that crystallizes for you. And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has.
See, that's where her mistake was. When you're talking to people and they start saying all this flowery stuff, and oh, it's great, and I hope he lives a long life. But no, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't put the but there. Just end it. Hope he lives a long life. Cut. But she screwed up. The Democrat came out. The radical nut job couldn't be contained. Oh, he's such a nice kid, and he's, I hope he's healthy. I hope he lives. God bless him. But, and when you say the but, you're about to step into crazy town. You're getting ready to cross over into where people are like, oh no, you just didn't do that. You should have just stopped right there. It should have been a button. You know how sometimes I talk and I hit the button and I'm muted? Somebody should have hit the button. Somebody said, Nicole, because what she says next is the most vile, unforgivable, scumbaggery statement you should ever say about that young man. And what she says right here. It's so bad, the other people on the panel kind of like...
to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump's supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide. And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against the people who carried out acts of seditious conspiracy and then live to see Donald Trump pardon those people.
Turned it over.
Did y'all hear that? Did you hear? Oh, she took this young, beautiful soul who has survived 13 brain surgeries by the time he's 13 years old, who was honored by Donald Trump in the Secret Service, whose father has done everything he can to make sure this kid has a good life, traveling around getting him badges from 900 different police departments, and somehow she decided she was going to tie in January 6th. I saw that. I wanted to cry, scream, and then find a way to get to New York and beat her. I want you to hear this again, because some of you guys may have looked away, may have answered your phone. Listen to the evil, unrestrained come out of her. I'm not going to stop it this time, but you'll hear her go blah, 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 but, and then out comes the demon.
And maybe when you have childhood cancer, that crystallizes for you. And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump's supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide. And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against the people who carried out acts of seditious conspiracy and then live to see Donald Trump pardon those people.
Turned it over.
That was a long statement at the butt break. Blah, 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 but, and then you could tell it just oozed out of her. The hate, the evil. But I hope he doesn't commit suicide after having to, guard the Capitol from January 6th type people. I'm like, oh my God. How does your heart even go there? How do you compose those thoughts after watching this 13-year-old child? I mean, we're not even talking about a combatant. He's not a MAGA. He's not, somebody like that. He's a 13-year-old child who survived 13 brain surgeries, and you didn't survive one because yours is gone. He makes more sense than you did. Maybe you should ask for his doctor and say, hey, can you do something up here? At 13 years old, hey, listen, my personality has changed 13 different times. Maybe Nicole Wallace needs to go see his doctor. I'm just saying. Do a little snipping. Do what you got to do because, damn, she's gone. Speaking of gone, and I hope you're not afraid from what you see here because it's not a really good sight. Okay, let you get some of this.
To him, and we don't know everything that Elon Musk has done with his high technology ass. Mm-hmm. We don't know what he's being accused of by some, as it may relate to the election. But we're not going to give up in investigating and finding.
I think one of the things.
I didn't kill it. You didn't kill it. These people are dead. The Democrat Party is dead. You can't. You're watching it, and somebody goes when he heard Nicole Wallace say that earlier, he wanted to throw his phone at the TV when she said about the suicide part. I'm sorry, the kid's trying to stay out the grave, and you're talking about suicide. And it's not Maxine. Take the camera away from your nostrils. Do me a favor. Back it up. Back up. Keep going. Oh, yeah. Put it way back there. Now, what were you going to say, Maxine? Oh, instead of backing up, just throw the camera away. You make yourself look like a crazy person, okay? But then again, you are crazy. So now Elon Musk stole the election. Oh, that's too much. It's way too much. Oh my God. Oh, it's crazy. Where'd that go? Somebody said it. Pew drummer. Maxine Waters is the only person that uses an ugly filter. Oh, that's too much. The media is wicked children, and so the Democratic Party belongs to the Satan, the devil. It's oh my goodness, this whole effort needs to be an arrest home. Y'all kill me. You're killing me. Oh my goodness. Very forgive their for they know what they do. Yeah, Marcus, you're right. They stole a landslide. If I didn't see these clips and put them together with you and I told you this stuff, you wouldn't believe me. You're like, Barry, no, there's no way she said that about the boy. Yeah. There's no way that Maxine Waters said that. Yeah, she did. There's no way Al Green said that. Yeah, he did. Stacey Abrams? Yeah, we're the opposition party. But it gets worse. Listen to this, moron.
People just can't grasp is the king idea, right? The king idea is not just the unitary presidency, right? It's not just about consolidating power over the executive branch. The idea of a king, which is what you had on your back of your shirt, is that you've got a unitary power, that the Congress is decorative or beside the point or could be abolished and nothing would happen, that the courts are decorative. The courts are there to essentially ratify what the ruler wants to do, and that the rule of law is really just the rule of the ruler, and the law can be dressed up to occasion whatever it is he wants. Is that the scale of threat to this country that you think we are literally up against, or is this a hyperbolic charge?
It's not.
Everything you just said is hyperbolic. There was nothing. She laid out this thing about the king and governments being irrelevant because she's building some Disney-esque fantasy for him to respond to. Yeah, the king and I, and what? You are completely hyperbolic. Oh my God. And then ask him, is it kind of hyperbolic what I'm saying here? Oh no, it's not at all. Even though I know you just made up everything out of your head and pulled stories out of your buttocks.
Hyperbolic at all. Say, well, thank you, Simone.
Can we talk about it?
The bingo signs were killing me. I don't know who's.
I found this interesting because now we're going to take a turn. You've heard some of the craziness. Now you're going to start listening to some of these Dems here who are like, hey man, this didn't go well. I need to have a job beyond the next 3 or 4 years. Can we talk about some reality here? Because oh my God, these people suck.
Up the bingo signs, but they should be fired.
Michael, this is an indictment, in my opinion, on the Democratic leadership. I talked to a lot of members during they was texting. The staff were on my phones and they were calling. And I think the best way to describe it is the Democratic leadership said.
Simone, I have a question. Point of order. Yeah. Who's the Democrat leadership? Before you can blame it on the Democrat leadership, you have to show me who is leading the Democrats. There's a lot of people at home watching TV and hearing these people talking going, there's nobody who has any idea, has any political savvy, has any marketing savvy whatsoever. There's nobody who would say, go in this meeting, carry these stupid little signs, let the nation see you're a bunch of nuttery. There's no leader that would say that. None. So before you can talk about the bad leadership, there has to be a leader. Who might that be? I would love to know. I would love to know who came up with this idea. Maybe these and you know about the, we're going to see the video. Oh, okay, hold on.
They didn't want disruptions, and they wanted people to attend and bring a guest, and they wanted, little business as usual, and we're fighting back in other ways. There is a palpable disgust, as Claire said, from not just the members, but their constituents. And it's like a pot, as someone described it to me, that's boiling, and it's about to bubble over. If you do not allow the members a space to release valve, it's going to bubble over. And this was the visuals are not taking back the House in 2026. Not these.
These visuals ain't taking back that. It ain't taking nothing. These people will not be voted back in. You're walking, talking, commercial making. If I'm running against some of these people, can you imagine right now running against Jasmine Crockett? And the stack of stuff you can put out there. And you'd have to, I got too much to say. She's a walking, talking nightmare. I got so much stuff. I'm running against PayPal or Q-Ball Presley or some of these people. At least AOC was smart enough that I ain't even going. Okay, I'm not even going to show up. Because if I show up, they're going to put cameras on me, and I want no part of this. She was smart enough to do that. Tom Homan might have been waiting for it. But in any event, she was smart enough not to show up. The other ones, nope, they were too stupid.
Visuals. Where's the signs? Put the signs up, folks,
The dry erase board with different messages.
Oh my gosh,
you
it
don't
was
think
crazy. Put the paddles up, y'all. Do we have something of the paddles?
But here's the thing. Here the thing about the moment for me for folks, if you really want to understand the difference between Republican control and Democratic acquiescence. It's in how two things happened in that chamber and how they were handled. When Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert stood up and showed their behinds on the House floor, all right? When they just act a fool, shouting and talking and being loud and disruptive, what happened?
They stayed.
They stayed. Democrats didn't threaten them. Democrats didn't tell them to sit your behind down and shut up. Right? Order in the House.
Well, what happened? What should the Democrats done?
What happened tonight?
Well, what should have happened tonight?
What happened then is what happened tonight, because the Republicans weren't coming to play. They weren't going to give the Democrats.
See, that's the part the Democrats don't realize. New daddy, new sheriff in town. We ain't playing. See, you thought this was the old Republican Party. You thought this was the Republican Party that was just go along with whatever you wanted to see happen. You thought this was the Republican Party that, like you said, could act a fool, but they had no teeth. And you heard Mike Johnson last night. Bam, bam, bam. You got one warning. I'm letting you know you're getting your warning. Mike Johnson was like the SV of the chat here. Boom, you got one warning. Next time, you're getting tossed. Because that's how SV be running stuff here. Bam. Sergeant at Arms, can you boot this nut? And he came and they took him out. They weren't prepared for that. That's why they got shut down. That's why they shut up, because they didn't see that coming. You see, what this guy was talking about, they compared things to before when the Democrats didn't use that force. And they saw a different Republican Party last night who intends, I don't know why they didn't realize it, it's only been, a little under 2 months, but the Democrat Party from before thought they could get away with the crap they got away with last time. Remember Nancy? Ripping up the speech and all that stuff and the shenanigans they did? Oh, Mike Johnson came prepared. Bam. According to Article 5-1234, you need to sit your behind down. You got this warning. Bam. Under Article 9, 12, 14, Sergeant of Arms can boot him to the curb. They came prepared. You know why? Because the Democrats were stupid and announced it. They told everybody, hey, we're gonna go disrupt. We're gonna bring in egg cartons. We're gonna do all. Oh, okay. Hey, Mike, let's look up the law. Okay, it's Article 215. Yeah, you can boot them out. Yeah, let's do that. You can't give the people the game plan. You told everybody. And so they came prepared. They had extra security, extra guards, and get them out. See, one of the things they also didn't prepare on, and this is very important, but they didn't realize it. This man has had 2, maybe 3 assassination attempts that we know of. I guarantee you the security in there last night was like Rambo. And they were not even going to let it get out of hand this much. So you stand up and start. Number one, you're standing up. That's problem number one. Number 2, you're waving around this cane. Okay. Number 3, you got to go. I loved it.
Democrats, the quarter, they knew what they were going to do. They knew they were going to try to be disruptive in some form. And their goal was to shut it down in one of 2 ways. And both of them worked. USA, as if they own that, that moniker, and throw them out.
I guess you mean what should have the Democrats done instead of what they did? No, I'm talking about tonight. What should the Democrats have done tonight instead of what they did?
Some of us believe they shouldn't have shown up. Or if they showed up at a certain point, here's the deal. When the congressman was kicked out, half that room should have left with him. Because that was...
One problem with that. No one would have cared. That's the problem, is that President Trump, from his initial opening speech, as I showed you, was like, I know they don't care. I know they're not going to cheer. I know they don't support anything. So you know what? I'm just going to face over here. Y'all can do what you want. Pocahontas. He didn't care. I don't care what you people over here do. We are no longer playing with you. See, that's what Michael Steele and MSNBC and CNN don't realize at this point. He doesn't care. I'm not trying to coddle with you. I'm done. If there was a message from last night, that was the message. He gave it to him right off the bat. There's nothing I can do that's going to make you happy. I mean, that's like talking to, someone who's soon to be your ex-wife. There's nothing I can do to make you happy right now. All right, we're done. And that's what he was telling them. That's why he didn't care about Pocahontas. Pocahontas, whatever. I have nothing to say to you people. I don't even got to acknowledge you. I'm going to make sure these people over here are okay, and the people in this camera understand I'm talking to them. And you over here, I don't care. Because you're not Democrats. You're the opposition party. There's nothing I can do. That was his exact words. You can rewind. You can see it. There's nothing I can do to make y'all happy. Nothing. So you don't waste time talking to people that you can't help.
Point. He was the only one to stand up and say, I'm not going to sit here and let you lie in this chamber. I'm not going to let you get away with this because you're lying right now. And instead of calling the man a lie, like they did to Barack Obama.
Right. I remember, I was there.
Right?
And nothing happened.
And what happened then?
Didn't he got a pat on the wrist afterwards?
This was a horrific night for the opposition party, regardless of how well she just spoke. It started out with Al Green.
What did he call them? What did he call them? He didn't call them Democrats. He called them the opposition party. They are no longer... Change the signs, do whatever you want, put O at their name. The Democrat Party is dead. That was a funeral. They no longer exist. I'm just telling you. And I hit the wrong button.
Getting thrown off the House floor because he couldn't keep his emotions under control. Then they had the ridiculous paddles, which now social media is roasting.
That you said false on one side and
ridiculous.
Elon on
and
the
then
other.
finally, and maybe most terribly, the Democrats who couldn't find it in their heart to stand for objectively good things, including the 95-year-old mother of Mark Fogel and Mark, who got rescued from a Russian prison. And they couldn't even stand up for that. I thought Democrats came into this speech lost and defeated by Donald Trump. And today it looks to me like they're even more lost and even more defeated than when this speech started.
So I've learned to be...
So, one of the things that happened last night, Donald Trump talked about Abbygate. And the Democrats wouldn't stand for this either. That they had found the guy who had masterminded the bombing in Afghanistan that killed all those troops. SV just sent me this, and he is now in America. Why does that keep happening? He is now in American custody. I'm going to have to go to a different screen. Luckily, I have a different screen, and here it comes. Bam. And this is from Kash Patel. Photo. Mohammed Sharifullah, alleged co-conspirator in the murder of American soldiers at Abbey Gate in Afghanistan, was apprehended and extradited last night. Wheels down to face American justice. Thanks to our great partners, Pam Bondi, Tulsi Gabbard, John Ratcliffe, who's been very, very quiet, and brave Asian personnel. 3.5 years later, we will have justice for our 13. And there's the scumbag that they're bringing back to America and making him stand trial. Why did Biden not find this guy? I can't answer that question, but the essence of that, 13 soldiers killed in Afghanistan. 13. And he announces, we caught him. Y'all hear me? I said I caught him. They didn't care. 13 American lives associated with all the other lives that were killed as he was introducing people, and they didn't even care. Soulless. Absolutely soulless. Now, I'm going to show you a piece here. I believe it's CBS News. And as you've been seeing in these last two clips, people in the media are starting to notice there's a big, big problem here. And I'm telling you, I feel like it's like save our job time.
Humble about analyzing speeches like this because the country often catches on to things that those of us in Washington might not sift the way the country does. When the president listed things that he thought were extravagant examples of wasteful spending, those of us around this table might say, well, that's not going to be enough, even if you cut all that to balance the budget, which is $840 billion out of balance. But Americans will hear it and say, wait a minute, those things sound wasteful to me. Sounds like Elon Musk and the president are on to something. There was also tremendous emotive power in several parts of the speech that I think will resonate across the country. Whether it's Laken Riley slain, her mother and sister, or Mark and his mother Malphine Fogel rescued or brought back from Russia, or a Border Patrol agent, Roberto Ortiz, or Stephanie Diller, the surviving spouse of a slain New York City police officer. Those things carry emotional weight, not only in the moment, but probably inevitably in the pass-around social media dissection of this speech. I keep my eyes and ears tuned to emotional moments like that often jump over the instantaneous Beltway analysis.
The instantaneous Beltway analysis. You see, he just summed it up perfectly. You people in this Beltway, and they're talking about the Beltway around Washington, D.C., you people who are enveloped in this concrete prison that you call the Beltway, and you're only talking to each other all day, all night, everybody's the same, and you're hearing, hey, attaboys, and but you have no idea what the rest of America is thinking. And so, as he just said, y'all... People outside the Beltway loved what Trump said, and you may think it's no big deal, but they're going, what? $50 million for condoms in Mozambique? What? They are so devoid of being able to empathize with people outside of the Beltway, outside of their studios in New York or Washington, that they don't understand that people, real people, look at that and go, that's pretty crazy. That's absolutely nuts. What are we going to do about it? Which is an honest question. And you have no answer for them. Trump has an answer. You may not like it, but he has an answer. Cut it off. What's your answer? Well, their answer is to not even pretend that it doesn't even exist. It's all lies, 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 I'm telling you. That's not going to work anymore. It's not going to work just to turn your eyes away from it and pretend like it doesn't exist. That's their modus operandi at this point. They can't even confront reality. Hey, how in the heck did we go from 5,000 to 6,000 people a day crashing the border to 10? Like I've said it for a long time, the thing that's going to do and is doing in the Democratic Party is the contrast. They used to see the images and the videos of people just coming and coming and coming, and everybody else going, you guys got to stop this. You can't keep it going. New York City, they're beating up cops. Everything's happening. Oh, my God, do something. What did Biden say? Oh, there's nothing I can do. Yeah, I need Congress to go do something. Give me the money. What? Do something. How about, hey, Kamala, you going to do anything about... No, Trump turns off the spigot. Just like that. Bam. Just like that. To the point where you got border agents down there going, yeah, I feel like a Maytag repairman. There's nothing going on. 16 people yesterday. Down from like 5 and 6. 16 at Eagle Pass. That's it. 16. How did it happen? Well, he had a president, and Trump said this yesterday. It happened because I'm here. That's the only answer. He said it to gazillion people who watched. And the gazillion people who watched turned to the Democrats because he didn't do anything different. Just, you turn off the light. He just, boom, done. Don't come back here. Well, how did he do it if y'all couldn't do it? But the eggs are really expensive. You know how much eggs are right now? So what happens when, in a couple months, the eggs are back to where they're supposed to be? Then you really have nothing to talk about. Never mind the fact that people from November and December till now who aren't paying $9 a dozen have figured out a different way to eat. See, even your remedy, which is to cull the chickens and to get people pissed off because the eggs are too much, gets to a point where people are like, you know what? I guess I don't need eggs. That happened with people who smoke cigarettes. Hey, what's cigarettes now? Oh, cigarettes are $8 a pack. I thought I was hooked. I'm not hooked anymore. Oof, yeah, that was good. That's my last one. I never smoked, by the way. And you learn behaviorally at that point, I guess I don't need this, do I? Nope, you don't need it. Democrats are screwed. They're dead. And this last part is really funny because of all the people who basically stuck a stake in the heart of the Democrats, it's best when you hear it coming from another Democrat.
Will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
Now you see why Stephen A. Smith was in the polls as a presidential candidate? See what I'm talking about? You see that idiocy right there? You talk about something, people being tone deaf. Why the hell would 22 Democratic senators be literally echoing the same thing and think that would resonate with the American people? All it shows is that the same fabric of our democracy is unchanging in the eyes of some of these officials, and as a result, the constituency they represent, which is why Donald Trump is in office. What, do I have to come up to Capitol Hill and give you lessons?
Like I said earlier, I don't know who leadership is, and I don't know who involved their marketing, but that person needs to be fired, or should have been fired, about an hour after those videos hit. At that point, you should have just walked in and went, you know what, we're going to go full Elon on you. Pack your stuff and get out. You're done. Okay, here's your severance check. Just hit the bricks. You got to go. Whoever came up with that idea looks like an idiot to anyone who's ever done any marketing. You became a laughingstock within 30 to 45 minutes of these videos being launched. And all of what the scariest part about all of this is, that's our government. These 23 people, these 23 senators who have to vote on some of the most important things for Americans didn't realize, not one of them said, hey, I don't think this is a good idea. You want us all to read the same thing, yeah. And I'll put it out on our social media like we're the ones who came up with it, yeah. You don't think people are going to notice? No, we're good. You don't think people are following each one of our accounts to see what we put up? You ever notice how people become reply guys on X? Reply guys meaning as soon as somebody posts something, you're like, how did he find that so fast? Because they have, like I showed you before, X Pro. So as soon as something pops up, boom, I'd be the first one. Oh, you suck. You don't think people have lists with every single one of you so they can jump right in and call you an idiot? So they all knew, and it was funny how it grew. It went from like 5 people to like 10, and people were watching like, oh no, it's still growing. It's still getting bigger.
Seriously, you don't get it? All you did, Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, Chuck Schumer. Let's all get together. Let's put this in a prompter, and all together, albeit in separate rooms, we'll grab a microphone and say the same damn thing. And that's what's going to resonate with the American people.
I don't mean to break out laughter so much, but Stephen A. sometimes can be a complete clown, but he's 100% right here. Who told you people this made sense? I mean, a sophomore in college in marketing 101, we'd be like, no, that's that's not what you want to do. That's stupid. I mean, there's many times I've sat in marketing rooms where people are pitching things to clients, and you sit back and somebody in the room has to go, that's pretty stupid. But then you see commercials on television, you're like, how did that get past so many people? It's the stupidest thing ever. Because there's someone who's making a decision, probably a little bit higher level than an intern, and the other people go, well, if you think it'll work, let's go ahead and do it. By then, they didn't run it probably through the CMO or the more senior people, and they ran with it. And it had to be coordinated because all of them had to get their phones and the little tick-tocky microphone. And they all had to read the same script, so you had to email it to everybody. And go.
And then you wonder why you're no longer in power. You wonder why Trump is in the White House.
These people are about 10 exits past normal. Look, you just got to try harder not to suck.
Oh my God, that's perfect. I have to keep that thing on speed dial. You just got to try harder not to suck. Because you're not trying hard enough because you really, really, really suck. But now I hope you realize why they suck so bad, because the Democrat Party has ceased to exist. These people at this point are dead. Oh, and it doesn't get any better for them. I mean, it's just not going to get, it's crazy. Oh man, what do I have here? I've got the Kid's Guide to Huckabee I want to talk to you about. For the parents out there, I'm sure by now you're familiar with the Kid's Guide, co-founded by Mike Huckabee. Well, the Kid's Guide wants to know whether or not you approve of Doge. Please take a minute to head on over to dogechoice.com right now to cast your vote and to see how more than 15,000 other parents who've already voted feel about Doge. Remember, vote at dogechoice.com whether you choose yes or no in the Kids Guide Doge poll. When you visit dogechoice.com, you'll be thanked with a free gift bundle featuring 2 kids guides. You'll get the Kids Guide to President Trump and the Kids Guide to Elon Musk, both of them for free, so you can give them away to your kids. So your kids can learn how they're using Doge to slash government waste. Remember, visit dogechoice.com to cast your vote, and you'll get a free gift bundle for your kids, or you can just go ahead and click the QR code right there. Thank you very much, and it's free. Just don't sign up. If you don't want anything recurring, just make sure you don't sign up for it. But in any event, that's why I've said what I've said. These people are there's no helping them. Some people are like, you got to keep showing them because it is funny. They're in complete disarray. Hey, listen, if you want to join us on X, hey, if you'd like to join 15,000 plus fellow patriots on X in our private X/Twitter group, go to fanfareshop.org/group. Just put in that URL in your browser. It'll take you right to our private group on X. Love to see you there. Let's share some content. And if you'd like to win a hoodie, or rather if you'd like to enter to win a hoodie, go to fanfareshop.org, fanfareshop.org, and register to win a Trump hoodie.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Alrighty, and we'll be giving out hoodies tonight. Don't forget, after this next shipment, we're going to have to change the graphic. We're going to be going to Trump t-shirts instead of hoodies, because it's getting into spring, and soon people won't be wearing hoodies. We don't hardly ever wear them down here. So a couple stories just wanted to let you know. A couple of them have to do with last night. What's he say? SV just sent me something. Let me just check this. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, what we got here? What's SV say? Okay, he's got something. All right, so George put this out. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview with George. I keep clicking that button, and for some reason, it's not working correctly, so I have to make sure I fix that before the next show. All right, George put this out earlier, and it says, just in, the 34,000-acre wildlife refuge on the Gulf of America has been officially renamed to Jocelyn Nungaray National Wildlife Refuge by President Trump's order. Signage will be updated in short order. This is one of the touching moments yesterday that the Democrats didn't even bother standing up for. What else did he have here? That's the same one. I wanted to show you this one. Okay, we talked about that earlier. Oh, this one here from Elon Musk. I thought this was fantastic. After tonight, I am increasingly convinced that we can get to 60 senators. That's so true. These people are so done. They're so done. After seeing what they did, it's not going to be hard to run against them at this point. You got any political aspirations? Go for it. Oh my goodness. SV, I don't know if there's any sound to this. Hold on, I'm queuing up a video. If I download it, it's not the right size, so I'm just going to show it to you, and it's going to be... okay, hold on a second. George is like, who the heck is cutting onions? This is so heartwarming. And it's President Trump. He's meeting the young guy from yesterday. He's in the Oval Office, and he gets a hug with President Trump. That's so nice. That's so nice. What I'll do is I'll cut that tonight, and I'll try to amplify the sound so it's better. Wow. Wow, that's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. So 8 o'clock tonight, when I come back tonight, what I'm going to do is we're going to talk about the Sanctuary City hearing. That, in fact, it's still going on. So there's a whole lot to discuss about that, and whatever else news may happen. We'll talk about that stuff as well. The cowboy hat is on his desk. Yeah, it was. Let me just make sure I show that to you, because you guys were here earlier. I didn't even pick that up. You saw it. Yeah, there it is. Hold on. Let me clear that comment so you can see it. Remember, he said he bought President Trump a cowboy hat, and we're like, hey, look, here it is. See it? It's right here. The cowboy hat's right there on the desk. There it is. Ooh, man. Democrats are done. Absolutely done. No coming back. No coming back from this. Not so. Yeah, the cowboy hat was on the desk. I just showed it. It was. It's crazy. A little boy got the Trump hat. Yeah, he's got his Trump hat on. Barry, he needs to send the IRS over to inspect it and ask them to see their tax records. It was so touching watching him yesterday. Absolutely. All right, everybody, let me go ahead and check out Super Chat so I can get that done and make sure everything is copacetic here. Hopefully, I can see it. Hold on. Am I going to be able to do it tonight, or am I going to have to use this screen as well? Yeah, I'm going to have to use this screen so that I can go through it. So, What's going on? All right, hold on one second. I just something just caught my eye, and I had to look at it. All right. And let me just fix this in the window so we can see everything. All right, now I can. All right, here we go. Cyber noise. When the stock is down, it's a great time to buy. Yes, buy the dip. Buy the dip. Well, that's way at the bottom. Hold on. Let me go back to the top. Okay, here we go. I work in the steel industry, and because of the tariffs, that's what I read earlier, with orders instead of competitor China. Yes. Brian Newland, I'll say if it's too loud, you're too loud, you're too old. Hockeygrams, your show is a class act, Barry. Thank you. Thank you very much. Andy Q, only president to ever make me cry. Go DJ, newest recruit to the Secret Service. Van Lightfoot, I absolutely love Sophie's intro to the show. Long live rock and roll. Yeah, yesterday's poll, by the way, ended up being 55 to 45. 55 said keep it, 45 said burn it. The yays have it. But I'll be looking at something else in the next couple of weeks. It's kind of hard sometimes because I got to find something that fits, something I won't get in trouble for, and then whatever I can weave into it. Fazul, keep going, Doge, just a speed bump. Absolutely. 3540 crew. A mere 43 pounds of fentanyl. I could not believe he said that. It's only 43 pounds. 43 pounds isn't easily enough to kill 9.7 million people. CR, take an egg vacation for a month or so. Yeah. Like I told you, they give you a tip, okay? It's not, you don't get the yolk, but if you buy cartons of egg whites, it's really inexpensive. Very inexpensive. Nathan Fleming, Barry, I have a mini chicken farm and would be happy to give anyone any info on chicken and eggs. Oh, I'd love to know. How long does it take to go from hatch to that chicken being viable laying eggs? I mean, is 22 weeks where it begins? And then how prolific does the chicken get once they begin laying eggs and, that kind of stuff? That would be interesting to know. I should get a farmer on. Ashley, if you're still here, we need to get a farmer on who can explain that. They filled Fort Knox with eggs and used the gold. Lynn Geldmeyer, Good Friday also. I mentioned Ash Wednesday, I mentioned Palm Sunday, and then Easter, but I forgot to mention Good Friday. Larry 1754 used a flipper tab to open that knife. Crazy easy and super fast. One-handed opening. What's a flipper tab? You're talking some crazy stuff here. Flipper tab. What's a flipper tab? See, now you're gonna make me open it up and figure out what the flipper tab is. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying this thing here. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to cut myself. I'm not that well versed with knives. All right. Randy, thank you. Nicholas Lamonicas, Barry, thank you. And the mods, much appreciation. The Democrats have no humanity. Last night proved that. It sure did. Barry Petros, is it true that 50% of Dems were not voted in? No, I don't think that. I mean, I wouldn't foresee that being true. Interesting. Demon of Cybertron. One thing I learned from watching the Live Nuts and supporting Trump is that working on prosperity creates culture, not the other way around. Beverly Litton, the Dems are in Alinsky lockstep to tear down America. That's their mission. Why don't conservatives, Republicans see that? I mention Alinsky a lot. I think the Republicans should always point it out. Just let people know. Kelly Bradshaw, thank you. God wins, for sure. Sherry Clem, Barry, since I can't afford to invest in gold and silver right now for protection, I'm just going to have to get me an iron cross and some wooden stakes. Free Trump knife. You could do some damage with this thing. I'm just saying. That and a pew-pew, or a couple pew-pews. Mark Holloman, after last night, I truly believe we will have a supermajority in the House and Senate next year. Possibly. As long as they don't cheat. Kent Fish, Barry, I've canceled Netflix. This show is way better, and I'm winning the next Oz Lotto. Can't wait to get my gold card. Fume Drummer, I hope the Dems do this same crap at next year's State of the Union. That will seal the deal for the midterms. FA in March, FO in November. I don't even know, from a day to day, they have nothing. I mean, literally, if I said to you and I had a gun to your head, I'm like, what do they stand for? And imagine what's going to happen when Zelensky ever gets around to accepting the deal. Then they really don't have anything to stand for. Stephen Cleveland, Barry, thank you for exposing the real racists trying to hold on to power for every last dime they can steal. Yep. Jeff123, thank you. True Texan, it pisses me off to no end that I would love to be there and to have seen this and they were acted like they hated it. That would have been the best thing, like they're doing with the bringing in the alternative media into the press conference. Would have been really cool if they said, yeah, if you're not going to come, don't come, and we'll have people in these seats, people who really would want to be there. That would be great. Guy Catalano, all of my friends and family who watched last night had the same comment about the Democrats. Geez, these are really ugly people. Yeah, and I'm sure you weren't just talking about their looks. They were just ugly people. CR, Barry, can you get Terrence Williams as a guest on your show? I hadn't even thought about that. I'm not sure if Ashley had. Terrence Williams, yeah. In fact, I shall write that down right now, because he would be funny. He would definitely be funny. We could talk about pancakes, too. Mitch Lyons, looking at the elected leaders of Connecticut, I can't believe you were raised there. It was crazy. It was crazy. I was so happy to leave. Mr. Twister, thank you. Cyber Noise, thank you. Cyber Noise again. What the stock is... Wait, did I just go back? When the stock is down, it's a great time to buy. Sandra J.G. Thompson, very hate to say it, but the women of the Democratic Party have made a huge contribution to the kiddie reaction of the Dems. They are classless. You have to wonder how many of them, and I don't mean this in a bad way, how many of them are moms versus how many aren't. I think that says something. Robert Petruska, I hope Tarloff is on the 5 today. Oh, she'll get roasted. She'll get roasted. Donna D, to put the suit tie issue to rest, it's diplomatic etiquette to represent your country professionally and to respect other countries' customs. Also, Elon is not meeting world leaders. Exactly. Penny Corridor, your coverage of Trump's State of Union, whatever it was yesterday, was excellent. Thank you. James Bond. Barry, can these mayors go to federal prison for their crimes? If they are charged, they most assuredly can. So based upon what, what's her name? Anna Paulina Luna said, that's definitely something that could potentially happen. So we would have to watch out. All right, everybody, I'm going to go grab some lunch, hang out with the wife and the doggies, and I'm getting ready to roll the after party so you guys can hang out and chat, and I'll see you later tonight. Thanks for tuning in.
One.